We are in the Chekhov observations. This is episode 4, would you believe? First 3 episodes were entirely at one party. I think that probably says a lot about my parties.
That they are excellent.
It was an interesting party.
Well, they may be excellent, but they also result in dead bodies.
Usually.
Yeah.
They do the same in role-playing games.
Right, that's fine. So, we have just a quick rundown left to right on my screen. I don't care what anyone else's screen is showing. Which is Hempfishy playing Sir Randolph.
Hello.
Complete with cravat. Yes, which is rather stylish and disturbingly really suits you.
Not right enough for Randolph, though.
Yeah, clearly you were born in the wrong era.
Clearly. But then I've always known that.
And this is true. We have Chrono Magistrate as Lyricane.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, there is a posh-off going on. We have Night Bites as Carter.
G'day.
Not a posh-off going on there.
I like that to push off to the podcast.
And we have Neo as Alexei. So,
Good evening.
in order, they are a noble of the British Empire, a noble of the Fairy Empire, a non-noble who has left Australia under disturbing circumstances,
Yeah, a bit of a cloud.
and a druid
Two
who
men
grew
to
up
get
in East
transported
Anglia.
from Australia.
Yes, the Australians are going, we don't want him anymore. Get rid.
I want to know why.
Well, thereby lies a tale that we will expect Knight to come up with at some point in detail.
Or
So-
at least come up with enough of for you to be able to insert it into a later scenario.
Exactly. So, Knight and Neo, you've got DMs explaining what information you located at the end of last week's session. Rather than make you roleplay through a 10-minute bit where it's all bleeding obvious, because it was not being done with the effort to conceal, I thought I'd just give it to you straight so you can tell everybody else. So, at the end of last week's session, there was an awkward conversation with a Prussian agent. Was going to be a fight, and
Awkward for him.
yes, and Randolph opted to not have a fight instead.
It started as a fight. Blows were exchanged. I nearly died.
Yes.
And then we settled it like the honourable gentlemen that we all are.
Yes, including a wonderful distraction that Randolph then refused point blank to take any advantage of.
Gentlemen.
Yes. Yes, I
I
can't
did take advantage of it. I used the opportunity to persuade him not to fight.
Fair play. He was going to ace you, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I statted him up and then I looked at it and went, oh, okay. It was
And
just
then
one of
they
those.
dealt me all the wrong cards, just for good measure.
I deliberately dealt you all the wrong cards, obviously.
Yeah.
Entirely and not completely by accident at all.
So we could have been at a funeral this week.
Well, yes. Then I could have carried on moving the plot along. Yeah. So, yes, this agent of the Prussians, Graf Friedrich Klein, came at you with a pointed argument and a sword cane, expecting you to be your nefarious older brother Aloysius.
Yes.
After you dissuaded him of your identity, and made it clear you were not buying his explanation that he had arranged to meet his friend Aloysius here at night in a closed-off part of the British Museum.
As spies go, he was a terrible liar.
He was a terrible liar. He's not a spy, he's more of a spy master. He sends liars out to do the job.
Pretty sure Control lied better than that.
Yes. Oh, now I want to watch The Equalizer. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Now I know exactly what Graf Friedrich is like.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's all right. Yesterday I was on Box of Delights. God only knows why. Okay. Evil Aragorn. So, yes, Graf Friedrich, you wheedled the information out of him as to the fact that he was supposed to be meeting Aloysius in order to give him an assignment.
He dropped a little more information than he wanted to, I'm fairly certain.
He
Because
did.
there were a couple of things we had to chase up. Throwaway comments that he probably hoped we didn't notice.
So, the evening finished. Carter and Alexei went off to check on the rope that they'd spotted hanging over the wall on the eastern, I believe it was, side of the grounds, but please don't quote me on that. After you'd spotted an open window and a rope in the east wing, which obviously somebody was taken out through there.
Yep.
And somehow left behind a dead elf.
Dead elf.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was waiting. I thought someone's going to. Oh, it's night. Okay. You don't
No
disappoint.
surprise there.
No, you do not disappoint. So, you agreed to meet at a coffee shop, which, by the way, is the Majestic, in the morning. To
Seen on Roll20.
yeah, it should be as seen on Roll20.
What I just said, as seen on Roll20.
Yes, it is, and even the players will be able to see it if I move that map. There you go.
I can see it now.
Not the players, any viewers.
Oh,
I was going to say, I could see it.
Yes, don't confuse. Yeah, I'd hope you all could see it. If you couldn't all see it, then I would just get very, very confused.
If anybody is watching on my channel, you really shouldn't be. You should be watching on Hint Plays. But on the other hand, you can see it all along. So
Fantastic. And thank you for reminding me to bring up the chatty window. File that one off under whoops. That can sit over my window. I don't need to see myself. So, pardon me. Yes. You arranged to meet at the Majestic because it was getting late and you wanted to have a proper go-through for this information and find out what the dickens is going on and what you're going to be doing about it.
now that we're meeting at the Majestic, I will turn the background music back on, because even if it only appears on my stream and in my headphones, I like it.
Fair enough. If it starts shorting out your audio engine, though, I might make a request later. So,
The audio engine's going to short out either way. It does it every time. The moment I start streaming.
okay. That's endearing. So, late night at the embassy, Lyricane is alerted to the fact that a young man has turned up asking to see him,
Yes.
which you did warn the doorman about.
Yes.
So, yes, young Eustace has turned up in a bit of a state, to be honest.
Unsurprising.
He's at least half cut and is quite upset because he has A, no real idea why he had this compulsion to come and see you, and B, that his friend was planning on an act of vandalism in a major British institution.
Mm.
And it's a really cute baby. So, yes, he will be escorted to your quarters.
So what time of night does he...
He
does
turns
show
up about 11 p.m.
Okay. So by this point, Lyricane is out of dress uniform and in kind of like evening dinner attire, sort of smoking jacket, that kind of thing.
Okay, we're in the smoking jacket. We're not going
Yeah.
for the Crestomancy dressing gown.
No, not yet. If it was past midnight, then it might have been. No?
Fair enough.
So velvet smoking jacket and comfortable like comfortable linens, etc.
Okay, that's fair enough.
All in shades of dark forest and emerald.
Oh, of course. Well, I
Of
wouldn't
course,
expect anything less.
one has certain appearances to keep up.
Between Lurricane and Sir Randolph, frankly, the tailors of London are being kept in good business.
Tailors of Munich, please.
Yes, good point.
They've got to make up for the style gap that is Carter.
Carter and Alexei, I turned up in what I was wearing this morning. Was I supposed to wear a dinner jacket? Oops.
So on hearing the knock on my door, it's basically door opens and Lurricane is basically leaning against the door jamb, sipping from a sherry, and just holds out a glass of sherry. Or like, because he will have opened the door and then reaches beside him, holds out a glass, picks up a glass of sherry from the side table,
Visions, he
and
actually
hands
has
it
a row
to.
of the sherry glasses just inside the door to one side. So.
Indeed. And then I bring him in with like the turn, arm around the shoulder, and bring him in, closing
Okay.
the door.
Okay, we go with the power touch.
Yep.
Right. I've seen Darren Brown. I know how this works. Right.
Eustace, was it? Yes. Okay. My dear Eustace, please. Sit.
Lord Lurricane, I believe you wanted to talk to me?
Yes, but let's get you less all of a flutter, and make sure that you are properly fortified. Although that may not seem to be too much of a problem.
I had some brandy at my club.
Understandable.
My
dear
nerves,
boy.
you see, they were shattered. I don't quite know what's been going on this evening.
Oh, I am sure that between the two of us, we can make some reasonable assertions as to what your friend was up to, and to make sure that you are properly taken care of.
This won't go to my father, will it?
Oh, we don't have to trouble his lordship. It doesn't have to get anywhere near Wilbury. So I make it pointedly clear that I know who he is.
Yes, he didn't introduce himself to you. You worked it out through connections. So yes,
Yeah.
he does make that slightly strangled noise, and will sit on the first available seat that's in the room.
I mean, obviously, your family is well known for its patronage of the arts. Neither of us would like to have anything untoward be connected with your name and this evening's event.
I had no idea Alistair was going to do that. Had no idea. It was supposed to be, I don't know, he said a practical joke.
A practical joke as to do what?
Well, I believe he was going to write something not on the painting itself, but on the frame. Yeah, a bon mot or something.
And did he explain why?
I'm sure he said something, but well, it's all terribly confusing.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
He's also terribly confused through about 6 brandies by this point.
Yeah. I know that I'm probably not going to get any fine detail out of him at this point. So it's more about comforting and getting him into a situation so that either in the morning he will want to talk, and basically just calming his nerves and making him more receptive to anything that I am saying. So it's a lot of like careful touch, keep his drink, and like reassuring him that everything is going to be fine, so long as we can talk about this. That I am his friend. That I am looking out for his interests. His story is an interesting one.
Memo: don't piss Lurricane off.
So I will, if anything, to distract him, I will get him talking about himself.
Okay.
And try and wheedle some information about like his relationship with Alistair out, like they're obviously both Oxford students.
Yes.
Find out what they're studying. Just keep them calm down and keep touching, keep and at some point graduate to stroking the back of his hair, etc. And
Okay.
just to settle him calm, and then
It's basically treating him like he's a kitten that's having a turn.
yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. So I will take a persuasion check off you.
Okay, let me get a count sheet up.
And I will even be in the right.
Ooh.
What are we looking at here? Some kind of persuasive.
I don't suppose I could get either comeliness or charisma instead of persuasion.
I would have thought
Charisma.
Sure.
Certainly, yeah.
It sounds
Okay.
like charisma use to me,
Yeah.
especially since persuasion doesn't exist.
No, you know what I mean. I was looking
Yeah,
for
okay,
persuasion type. Don't worry.
Sure. So
I've
that
got the
is
skill list up in front of me.
hearts. Do I have a target number, or am I just throwing something in?
Just chuck something in.
Sure.
His resistance is not as it would be normally.
His resistance is futile.
Pretty much.
There we go. Might as well.
He got talked into helping with potential vandalism in the British Museum. What do you think his resistance to persuasion is?
Under any circumstances.
Under any circumstances.
So
the classic.
that is a 16.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine.
I mean,
Okay.
this is charisma with on the way to on the way to seduction almost.
Okay.
Because I'm basically not going to let him out of his sight until he's sobered up. So I am going to basically put him to bed in my room.
Okay. Right. As he is basically on the edge of dropping off, as you're sorting him out into a spare pair of pajamas, basically, I suspect.
Yes.
Sleeping in his suit? No.
No, it's creased enough as it is.
Yes.
Let's not trouble the housekeepers with
You get
any
out
further.
of him that this is over the course of the next hour or so. You get out of him that he's been studying fine art, although his father would rather he did engineering. Apparently it's been a source of discussion, but not too much conflict. It's merely that he comes from an engineering family.
Yeah. Is Alistair also studying fine art?
Alistair is not. Alistair is studying art history.
Right.
And politics.
Right.
The expectation for Alistair is that his father expects him to become an MP.
Yeah.
So he's learning to meet the right people.
But with a modicum of culture backing it.
Yeah. He also, and this is right on the edge of sleep, and you only got that because you got a challenging success with knobs on, is... And he said it was a good idea. His friend had said it would be funny. And that's why he was doing it. His friends said it'd be funny. And it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all. And now Alistair got arrested, and now his father will find out. And he'll tell my father. And he'll tell my mother. And my mother will cry.
But at least we can
dear.
ensure that it doesn't go much further.
Oh, good. You won't tell anyone, will you?
Oh, certainly not.
Great. Good. That's...
Wider society will be none the wiser for your involvement, at least. Obviously, all the heat is on Alistair. He is the one who is in trouble. You have done nothing wrong.
I didn't know he had a knife.
No, of course not. You were just looking out for a friend
Absolutely.
who happened to take the wrong path.
Exactly. And basically the next thing you get out of him is a snore.
I roll my eyes, prepare for bed, and basically climb in the other side of the bed.
Fair enough. Faye, what are you going to do? Right.
Sleep, apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
Yes.
He's too
Okay.
drunk to do anything.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So let's just recall that.
Lyricane prefers his partners responsive.
Yes.
Quite right, too.
Very sensible. Let's give you back a new card.
Oh yes.
All right, done. So, day dawns. Fishy goes out of focus. Hello, welcome back.
Looking at the camera.
Yeah. The camera could not find you. I'd have thought it would latch onto the cravat.
Well, it's looking for a face. That's not a face.
No, you need a t-shirt with a face.
Doing to arrange my cravat into a face.
That's dangerously close to Hellraiser.
Sure.
Okay.
That would be more arranging someone's face into a cravat.
Good point. Well made. So,
Yikes.
yeah. Okay, so Fishy and everybody else. I say Fishy because he was directly in line of sight with me. The day dawns. It is bright dawn light.
I wouldn't know.
Right.
Curtains drawn till midday, kind of thing.
I believe you agreed to meet
Not
at
quite
10
that
a.m.
bad. Yeah, sounds reasonable. So, unless it dawns at 9, I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay, so is anybody doing anything before the coffee house rendezvous?
Yes. So when we wake up in the morning, presumably Eustace is still feeling a bit worse for wear, but should be a bit more competent.
Yes, he's quite headachy for some reason. He must have slept in a weird position.
So, like morning routine, I basically show him where to wash, etc., and then take him down for breakfast.
Okay. He seems a little abashed at his behaviour the previous night.
I reassure him that he has nothing to worry about, at least from this quarter. Again, reassurance is that he was just trying to do right by his friend. Obviously, he knew nothing about it, but I do want to try and press him a little bit more about Alistair's friend. Like, can get a description or.
Right. He is somewhat more compos mentis, and basically last night you kind of cemented a degree of influence over him by basically being nice to him.
Yeah.
Most
and
people
kind of like
aren't.
reinforcing the kindred power that I had used previously as well.
Yeah. Yes, now I know why I got warned. Be careful who you let play the Fae. Kindred powers can be a bit broken if you do them wrong. So, especially glamour. So,
glamour is not my strong point.
No, yours is etherealness and things.
Yeah, like that's also kind of like why I limited the glamour to auditory rather than visual.
Makes sense. So, he is slightly more resentful towards his friend for getting him in all this trouble. And he's now at the ranty stage.
Yeah, and if anything, I kind of play that up a bit to kind of like almost play on the fact that we know that, like, I'm not going to publicize it to society, that it has, insinuate that it will dent its thing because there were other people there as well. But that we can work to minimize that.
Okay. His ranting encompasses the fact that, yes, Alistair has made some new friends recently. They're not students, but they hang out where the students do.
In Oxford or in London?
In Oxford.
Any kind of description? Are they like older, same age?
Pardon me. Most of them are of a student age. There were 3 or 4 who invited Alistair out drinking, playing cards. But there does seem to have been an older man who then insinuated his way into the group. This is all he knows about him, is that Alistair met him playing cards. And he's a man of sophistication.
But he doesn't have a description because he's not met him.
He has a rough description, but only in as much as he'd heard other people talking about having seen Alistair with this chap.
So,
Which
second-hand description.
Second-hand description is that he is a stocky man, well over 6 feet, with short cropped hair and habitual wearer of a bowler hat and a long black greatcoat.
Apparently John Steed is behind it.
So, habitual wearer of a greatcoat, you said?
Yes. And at some point, his nose has been broken.
Okay.
But Alistair was very, very close with this new group, much to Eustace's distress, because he and Alistair were dorm
Previously.
mates.
Yeah.
And in a very EM Forster way.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
How long ago did this new group appear?
About 2 months.
And they were British, or did they have accents?
There is no mention of accents. Certainly the ones that he had met, the younger men, all appear to be British. And while not common, he identifies them more of the merchant class.
Right.
It's entirely possible that they come from trade.
Or new money.
Or new money. But he's not met this older friend who is apparently the one who suggested this jape at the museum.
Right. And Eustace appears to be the kind of guy who's easily influenced, doesn't he?
Eustace is very much, I hate to use the term beta male, he's very much a follower.
Yeah.
I don't mean as in he's wet or there's anything wrong with him.
No.
It's just
also,
he's one of life's lieutenants.
Yeah. And also, given that Alistair is the son of the Lord of Lochshiel, that's a higher status.
It is.
Yeah. So he'd be looking to attach his name to another, a higher-ranking member of the aristocracy, if at all possible.
They were at school together, so they've known each other since they were about 6.
Sure.
And have been close pretty much their entire lives. So this was a bit of a shock.
Okay. After breakfast, like, if I've got everything that I'm probably going to get out of him, I then go, like, shepherd him to the front door, call for a cab to take him where he wants, and kind of like, as we're just waiting, as it arrives, he's waiting to get into it, I basically just dust down his jacket, making sure, close contact, maintaining the contact.
Yeah.
And basically just lean in and said, naturally, I shall do everything I can to ensure that what you have said does not go any further. We wouldn't want anything untoward to happen or to come out of this. But do bear in mind if you ever do wish to see the sights of Munich or Bavaria in general, you are always welcome. And I make sure that, impress upon him that you're always welcome at my door, here or in Bavaria.
If you can keep this affair quiet, I would be forever in your debt.
I will see what I can do. Should you remember, should anything else come to mind that you wish to talk about, you have a friend here.
He gets into the cab, and you can hear quite clearly. He orders it to go to the Barrowdale Club.
Okay. I wink and I wave as I see him off.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then get a cab to the Majestic myself.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the network building commences. I don't know, I've got people going for the Baker Street irregulars. Okay. You going for the Noble network.
Yeah. Oh, kind of side question, just on the world here. What is the status of Ireland at this point? Is like the Irish question something that's raised in Parliament, or is it like part of Britain?
Let me double check, because I think I know, but I don't want to misquote. Because we're on a game written about the Victorian era by Americans.
Yeah.
Because I do have some stuff in my because I put some stuff in like my background about Ireland, but I just wanted to because I had some thoughts about another resolution.
Right. Currently, it is an oppressed British state in rebellion.
Right. Cool.
So,
right. Sure.
Yeah.
As it should be.
What, oppressed or in rebellion?
Correct. Certainly.
Just checking. Thank you, Randolph.
That might be a point of
We've
contention.
got a lot of building we need doing.
Oh, I see. You need to import builders.
Don't make themselves, you know.
Fair enough.
So it's just being historical.
Yes, hysterically historical.
Mhm.
I'd imagine the rebellion is far more interesting because you've got access to druidry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed a slight imbalance in this game,
Yeah.
which is an easy one to make, which is that everybody except us has magic.
British have magic.
Not for most of the world, but we did it despite the fact that everyone else has magic to resist us with in this version.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that should make no difference at all, because we should have equivalent magic.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
We not got it.
I think
good
your
old
audio
British
engine's gone.
engineer. Good old
Yeah.
British engineering.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's basically they're trampling over the more magically inclined nations with steam engines of varying
Because there's
types.
absolutely nothing in British mythology to suggest that we might be magically inclined ourselves. Merlin!
There are solid British traditions of magic. I've got quite a lot of books on them. It's just that the various lodges don't tend to talk to each other.
Well, see, the key thing is you said British, not English.
Yeah, good point. Yes,
Yes.
and
So
you also have such wonderful people as the Golden Dawn, who are not really joiners.
Don't talk about them.
Pardon me. So, we're heading off to the Majestic.
Yeah.
Everybody else basically pootling to the Majestic in the morning.
Yes, indeed.
I can't think of anything that Carter would be doing in the interim, so yeah.
Okay.
What's the weather like?
The weather is a balmy day. It is warm.
Lovely. Well, in that case, yes, Randolph will be far more informal than he was yesterday. Yes, today he won't have a jacket on.
Oh my
I'd say
god.
that's pushing the boat out a little.
I mean, waistcoat, coat, no jacket though.
Right. Okay. Going to be looking positively like a commoner.
Yes, I know. That's one of the advantages of being part of the wealthy elite, is that you can dress like the working man. Well, you think you can, anyway. It obviously costs as much as a working man's yearly wage.
It's like the classic cartoon I had where someone was being berated for a works weekend away at a stately home because everybody else was in a suit and he was in a ragged jumper. And it was, what do you mean? Yes, everyone thought you were the Lord. And there's a picture of a guy off to one side, sort of holes and sweater and knackered trousers. Ah, yes. So...
Yeah, so Lurricane has dressed down, in the sense that he's looking like his impression of a British dandy from 10 to 15 years ago again. And he has forgone the top hat as a concession.
Oh my god. Okay.
Good question. Is Randolph wearing a hat? I think probably not.
Just not a
If
flat
he's forgone
cap.
the coat, then...
Yes.
So yes, yeah.
Okay.
Lurricane, he's not got anything overtly that suggests that he is Bavarian, or at least connected to the Bavarian diplomatic corps. He's not got any insignia or medals or anything
Okay.
at this point.
Right. I'm quite happy with the way that majestic cafe image came out, by the way.
Yeah, it looks quite nice.
It neatly conceals the fact that those are modern day signs, because flyers are quite, flyers in the bucket of paste were common in all eras.
Mm.
Pardon me. So, at the Coffee House Rendezvous.
Back but invisible.
I'm the Invisible Man. Okay. Yes, you walk in a couple of steps down to the main cafe floor and can order a selection of coffees.
I only want one.
Fair enough. Ranging from the standard sort of decent fare to incredibly thick black Turkish, which comes in espresso-sized cups, and you feel ought to need a spoon. Except the spoon would melt.
I was about to say, does it come with a spoon that's resistant to dissolving?
Yes, exactly, yeah. Acid-proof cutlery.
I'm going to display a dreadful gap in my education here. I do not know what the educated, fashionable nobleman of the era would be drinking. So it'll be that. Whatever.
Okay. Well, I'm not exactly going to beat people up over coffee etiquette, except that I would kind of expect Lurricane as a Bavarian to probably start dictating exactly how his coffee is going to be brewed.
To be honest, Lurricane won't. He will actually ask for hot chocolate.
Yes, that is available as well.
Yeah. Ask for hot chocolate in the Viennese style.
Okay. Eyebrow is raised.
And just assume that they know what he means, because if it's the right class of coffee shop, they should do.
One eyebrow is raised, and the gentleman taking the orders calls over Yvette, which you can tell because he says, Yvette, and she comes, which is a small blonde woman in a waitress's uniform. He passes on your order, and she heads off and starts doing arcane things involving steaming and chocolate powders.
Kind of wondering now if that's Yvette, whether the actual owner of the coffee shop is called.
That did cross my mind too, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Let's put it this way: the name is not a coincidence.
Right.
Okay.
If we hear the cafe owner start shouting, "You stupid woman," we'll know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yes, you need to check.
It would not be at all out of character for this game for somebody to come in and say, "Listen very carefully."
I shall say this
Only
only
once.
once.
Exactly.
Sir, gentlemen,
Oh, you're talking to me, right? Yeah.
I believe we have some matters to discuss.
Indeed.
Uh,
I trust everyone had a pleasant evening.
Yeah.
Well, you were there for most of my evening, surely.
Oh,
Did you be afterwards?
Afterwards.
It was enlightening.
His
Right.
evening goes on longer than most people's.
To be honest, I just pretty much went straight to bed.
Yeah, same
Did
here.
dash off a quick letter to Lord Fullenham, though. Let him know everything that he needs to on the matter.
Who?
You did, didn't you? Okay.
I drew cards. I played really, really good
Yeah.
cards.
Right. So, given that Carter was off dissuading the police from coming in to interfere in your little conversation last night,
Yes.
you all might want to do a proper exchange of information and actually tell him what happened.
So, yes, Lord Fulham, according to Mrs. Harrison, who arranged the whole Chekhov affair at the museum, Lord Fulham was representing the Crown with regards to Mr. Chekhov. So, obviously, with his disappearance, he's going to need to know what's going on. And I wasn't entirely convinced that Inspector Jarrett would actually be able to tell him, so I let him know everything that we found out. And offered our
And
services. Well, my services, I wouldn't dream of speaking for any of you fellows.
what precisely did you tell him that we'd found out?
Well, that Graf Klein wanted Aloysius to escort Chekhov back to Russia, and that
Yeah, this is news to Carter.
something went terribly wrong. And Chekhov is
Prussia, not Russia.
I said Russia.
Oh, sorry, it must have dropped out right on the first P. I thought that's getting into a whole new can of worms there.
Yeah, and Chekhov is, as they say, in the wind. I also mentioned that Klein seemed disturbed at now not having some sort of plans, which apparently he was intending to obtain through this arrangement. Don't know what the plans are as yet. We need further information along those lines, obviously.
Although I dare say we can suspect what they might have been, or what they might be,
Yes.
given the rather ostentatious painting of it.
Well, the obvious is that it has something to do with the painting, yes. But we don't know for certain.
Oh, not for certain. That will be the intriguing thing to find out. But if it is, then that bodes ill for many of us.
Now, by the time I got home, I did know about the dead elf, or I didn't know about the dead elf.
You did,
You
yeah.
did.
Right,
You
I had
did.
told me that by that point. So
Yes.
yeah, I did also mention the the unfortunate fellow in the museum who you chaps found.
Is
God,
it
yeah.
just me struggling with Chronos?
No, I
No.
think where he said that the internet was going to go a bit wafty, I think it's
Okay.
going a bit wafty.
I must have
So-
missed that bit.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's just slightly dropping in and out.
I just making sure it wasn't something my end. That was all.
No, it's okay.
It's Chrono going slideshow on us.
No, periodically, the video is going slightly pixelated cartoon
Right,
image,
okay.
but the audio is actually not been too bad, which I can cope with. Don't get annoyed at nice accent.
Yeah, Knight is going to try and avoid doing the accent for fear of
Oh yes.
aggravating anyone.
I have paused the stream because that might have been taking a little bit more of my bandwidth than I would like. So,
Okay.
um,
Yeah, especially if people are using the same connection.
yeah.
Yeah. Right. Oh, got you about half an hour then, Fish.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Okay. So, you have let Lord Fulham know about what you discovered.
Yeah.
Graf Klein, which was the agent who accosted you at the end of the last session you actually played in Night, was the agent who was supposed to be arranging a transit to Prussia for Chekhov. At which point, while everybody else went home,
I did mention that I had the impression that this wasn't necessarily Chekhov's idea.
yes, that's a polite way of putting it. But yes, Aloysius was supposed to be escorting Chekhov on the boat train as far as Paris. And that didn't work, because Aloysius didn't get invited to the party. The other Quigley did.
Damn shame.
The better Quigley. They demonstrated first.
And as a result, at the end of the evening, Alexei and... Case, you're going to go weird now, Fish.
Yeah, his camera.
I found a couple of times. I'm a little
Yeah.
worried about that.
Alexei and Carter squirreled off to check up on the rope on the east wall. So I will let those two explain what they found, because I haven't actually told the others.
Okay.
It's all new.
So the rope at the east wall was secured over a metal railing at the top of the wall. There were some heavy footprints at the bottom of the wall, went a distance into the rosebuds around the wall. So there were muddy boot marks going up. Well, we could see where the owner of the footprints went up the wall, and presumably over the top, because there was some sackcloth caught on the railing. But that's about the extent of what I got.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing earth-shattering, I'm afraid.
Now that brown sackcloth, that's not part of clothing, is it?
No, when I said sackcloth, I mean that
Meant
literally.
sack. Which now makes me wonder
What was in the sack?
Those footprints in the flower bed were very, very deep.
Oh, not just when you said heavy footprints, I'd
So
taken that to mean a
it was
heavy
a
set person.
person with
Possibly a person carrying
extra
another
weight.
person.
A very, very heavy set person, or somebody carrying a smaller person, would indeed produce footprints of those sort of depth.
Can you refresh my memory as to the approximate build and heaviness there or not thereof of Chekhov?
Chekhov is a man only marginally taller than the dwarves he was talking to before his disappearance.
So possibly a lighter fellow being carried by a slightly chunkier fellow.
Mm.
Do you have how many sets of footprints did you
just
get?
the one.
Just the one. But they were deep. Like someone was carrying
Something.
Well,
Which then,
more like
throws,
someone.
which then brings in the question where we thought it might have been a plot by Chekhov. Was he carrying or was he being carried?
If Chekhov was being carried, that still might not rule out his plot. He wasn't the most physical of people.
No, but why put him in a sack?
Surely,
I'm trying to look at the bright side on this. This is all organised by him as an elaborate ruse.
I still don't see that as a bright side.
surely Chekhov in a sack doesn't match with what we already know.
No.
It doesn't, but
Then
it's
who
not
else is-
a ruled out possibility.
What's the scenario here with the sack?
Because Chekhov didn't leave
how
the
did
room with the sack, did he?
Nope.
No. There was no sack mentioned until we found this piece on the wall.
And we uncovered the means of Chekhov's departure.
Which was the window in the east wing.
Well, we say Chekhov's departure. We still don't know he went that way. All we know is someone went that way.
Unfortunately, the rain that was triggered by Alexei came after the departure of Chekhov.
So any lighter footprints would probably have washed her.
They'd have been washed away, and the mud would not have retained. It wouldn't have retained images across the grass.
But surely that would have washed away the mud on the wall.
Yeah, do you know what a rain shadow is?
No, I don't.
Basically, if rain is coming from one direction, it is literally like a shadow.
Yeah, but it was coming straight down.
Also, trees exist.
You didn't mention any trees. You said rosebed. I would assume there wasn't a tree in the middle of the rosebed, but
No, but there are trees on the road.
right.
Well,
Okay.
on the pavements, if you want to get picky.
Okay.
That's difficult mode, putting trees in the middle of the road.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, that's where you're just going, oh, so the Fae's been round then. They're just taking the mickey. It's alright, they're probably illusory trees. Are you sure?
Let's run into it and find out.
I'm not sure, but let me find an axe.
You just wander up with an iron axe, give it a little tap.
And hope nobody's inside.
There's a whole different ball game. Okay, so you've got sackcloth on one of the iron palings.
Actually,
ripped
they
on
haven't got
something.
sackcloth on the paling. They've got sackcloth on the table because I brought it with me.
It is, in that case, a fragment of sackcloth. Yes, it is torn.
Because there's no way the police are going to be looking at that because they have no indication to be going out there. They're not going to miss it. I brought it with me.
Okay, so do you want to try and give me a projected rundown of the course of events?
I was
Of
just
what
thinking
we thought happened.
try and recreate some sort of a timeline.
Okay.
I don't know that I am, but is anyone else?
From the point that Chekhov left the building?
Or even potentially before.
Not sure whether
that.
maybe we should be going earlier than that, yes.
You did have those two bodies.
Yeah. So
That's
we
why I
have,
said the point he left the building. He left the building, big boom, two bodies. That's
Yes,
the extent.
but the bodies weren't killed at that stage.
but he
Well,
still
good
has.
point.
Talking about that. So we need to go back earlier to find out when they were killed, and if they were already dead, who the two men who left with Chekhov were.
Indeed. And where are they now if we have only one or two persons at the railings?
We also have a dead elf.
We have a dead elf
Yes.
who I suspect. Well, we have a dead unseelie.
Yes, you're being very clear on that, aren't you?
Yes.
Is there any chance that this unseelie fellow might have been one of the two people masquerading as Chekhov's bodyguards?
It is possible, but unlikely. I would have felt it. Were there an unseelie in the room anywhere near
The
Chekhov?
question I'd like to ask then.
I also suspect that the unseelie is the one who created the glamour over the portico to conceal their escape down and into the Indian room.
So,
this,
so
a lot of magic.
But if the unseelie created the glamour, would that not have failed when he died?
Not necessarily. There are, if it had been augmented in some way, it is entirely possible. Who knows exactly what kind of deviousness they have. Unseelie machinations can persist after death.
Okay.
Alas.
That I didn't know. So I'll hold my hands up there.
Alternatively, it could be that there was more than one involved. Unlikely, given that they would have wanted to keep the numbers low on this. But we are definitely missing a couple of people here. There is also that gentleman that Lord Quigley had mentioned, the heavy-set one, who was observed leaving the British Museum earlier. Now, if that gentleman can be identified as such, did you say that he had a staff or had?
Yeah.
Yes, he had a staff and was dressed in robes not unlike a judge.
Right.
Now,
that's the chap that was described by the news kid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
Now,
And he was a big old thing.
if we suspect that he may be a magic user of some kind that was potentially involved, Then we have, a number of other associates of Chekhov or whatever other party is involved here.
I have a quick question with regards our looking at the wall.
Okay.
Were we looking from the inside or outside? Because we've left the museum.
You had stayed and you were doing it from the inside
were
because
on
you
the
specifically
internal.
said that you were doing it from the
Did
inside.
we think about looking at the other side to see if there were
I
footprints
would
going
assume
down?
that yes, and you saw no boot prints on the outside.
So it's quite possible this large-set person that left on his own had climbed and chucked whatever was in the sack over, and then left the way he came.
If he retraced his footprints, we didn't see, according to the DM, footprints walking away from the wall.
No, but they could have been washed away had he not had so much weight.
Metaphorical slap on the wrist there, like that. We don't have a DM. We're not playing Dungeons and Dragons.
I meant direct message.
Yes.
In that case, I apologise.
Nope.
So-
He's in the right. You're good.
Take back that slap if you wouldn't mind.
Indeed. Consider it retracted.
I see. We're not going to get into slap round the face with a wet haddock and challenged with duel.
I don't think it's quite that serious.
Drumsticks at dawn.
So numbers-wise, we are looking at one gentleman in robes with a staff who was seen leaving the British Museum earlier. We have 2 people plus Chekhov leaving the party room. 2 potentially other people, other bodies, on the steps outside of the party room. So 3 people potentially heading into the East Wing, encountering a Unseelie at some point during this. The Unseelie is dispatched by means of cold iron, and Chekhov, presumably, and his associates leave via the window in the East Wing. That leaves 3 people plus whoever was helping them get out that way, which could have been the Unseelie, but given that they were murdered, that was probably someone else there as well. Now, you had mentioned a fixer who might have been involved in this kind of extraction. Did you not, Mr. Carter?
Yeah, I did. Now, the thing is, what concerns me about this dead Unseelie, if he's not a part of the core plan for whatever's going on, and more like hired help, he could well have arranged their escape through that roof and then been dispatched to silence him. That'd be the smart way around it. But yes, I do know of a fixer's a stretch. He's known for cleaning up messes. Goes by the name Benjamin Hawke. He was last on a retainer for one of the Steam Lords. He tends not to leave witnesses.
Which would suggest why...
Which is why I think possibly our dead Unseelie was involved and then silenced.
But we are still dealing with at least 2 people and Chekhov that we assume escaped this way. But if you say that you only saw 1 set of footprints, we are missing something between leaving the East Wing and getting over the walls into Little Museum Street.
Also, we're missing something on the other side of the wall.
Not necessarily.
Unless they didn't land on the other side of the wall.
Complicating the matter of getting in and out.
I am listening.
Let's take, for example, the 2 gentlemen masquerading as bodyguards, who are reasonably certain replaced the dead guards temporarily, and then those guards were put back into position during Chekhov's departure. Nobody was looking for those gentlemen. All they really had to do is a very subtle change of appearance. Simply taking off their jackets might have been enough and then walk out the front door when nobody was paying attention to them before all the fuss really kicked off.
If they were hiding elsewhere in the courtyard, then that is entirely feasible.
I wonder how many of the people involved in this matter may have come in, done their bit, aided appropriately, and then simply left when nobody was thinking to watch for them or stop them.
There is that. It would make more sense for them to be able to slip out more easily.
Right.
The only people who needed to worry about an escape, per se, are those who would still be in the building after the faux lightning strike occurred. So clearly the magician generating said lightning strike, who we have already identified his departure, thanks to young Thomas. Chekhov himself, obviously, and anybody accompanying Chekhov. I suppose whoever set up that glamour would need to be there to maintain it, perhaps so they would need to leave. But I would have thought that if you can set up a glamour like that, you can probably spirit yourself out of a building quite easily.
That brings an element of how certain are we that Aloysius wasn't informed of the job?
Well, if the message going to Aloysius was intercepted by me, albeit accidentally, and he clearly hadn't met with Klein, because Klein was terribly put out, but he wasn't there. So,
But if he'd seen you there, he's not exactly going to stay in sight, is he?
yes,
So he may have been part
whether
of it
he,
and still...
Did I get the impression that I'm trying to remember from 3 weeks ago?
Okay.
Did I get the impression that Aloysius knew there was a job coming, or knew that things were being arranged with Chekhov, and that this was a meeting to actually sort of finalise things, or that this would be the first he'd heard of it?
This would be the first he heard of it, was the impression you got. Sorry.
If it is not
That's
too,
the principle I've been working on.
if it is not too forward, Lord Quigley, how similar do you look to your brother?
Whoa!
Family resemblance, not too dissimilar at a distance. I mean, nobody who knows us is going to mistake one for the other. Nobody really who has even the smallest contact with us in the past is going to mistake one for the other. But somebody going purely on description, perhaps, might.
Yes, that's what I was wondering. I do also, as an adjunct to this, I was paid a visit last night by the young Eustace, one of the 2 students involved in the fracas at the painting. A friend of Alistair of Lochshiel. He did mention. He was somewhat the worse for wear, alas, but whilst chatting with him, he did reveal that Alistair had been contacted by a new group of friends, or had some association with a new group of friends at Oxford, one of whom had put him up to this so-called prank. A joke, they said, that would have little consequence. And I described the older gentleman. Obviously, this is a now third-hand description, but whether or not it was simply to throw a distraction to allow for the change of.
I do have a problem with
bodyguards.
the idea of this being a distraction, because it came off very effectively. Yes, maybe the change of bodyguards. You could well have it there. That might be the moment.
It might also have concealed the arrival of, or the dumping of the bodies on the on the
Yeah.
step outside.
Knight, would you like?
Thought was, what would it be a distraction for? But that's a very good point.
Would you like to make me? What would it be? Because it's kind of memory.
So not perception.
Yeah. What the hell?
Perception with a different suit, maybe. If it's...
Yeah.
I mean, although diamonds is supposed to be mental, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, let's go with diamond. Yeah, let's go with the standard perception. This is a. You're working off a description of a description of a description. But let's see.
You could argue in favour of education on the basis that, going back to the old thing that a degree doesn't actually prepare you for a job, but
that's still diamond.
Teach you to learn.
That's still diamonds.
Or connections would actually be valid, which is spades.
All kinds of.
So going with perception then.
Okay.
Now you're not going to be nice and tell me a target number, are you? Because I think we got past that stage, didn't we?
Yeah.
So, in that case, am I right in remembering that the wrong colour counts for 1?
Yep.
The right colour but the wrong suit counts for half.
Yes.
And
down.
A good or above, you can add a second card.
Yes.
Right. Next question. What does a joker mean? Because I'm terrified. Since Deadlands, I'm terrified of jokers.
Yeah, that's because you guys have form with jokers.
But yes.
Don't we though?
I swear
I'm dead
to God.
huckster.
I've literally counted the jokers in Deadlands packs because they've come out like 4 times in 2 hands, and it's
terrible.
They're just homing on them.
When I created my character for the last Deadlands that we played, my Texas Ranger, and we were on holiday in Spain at the time, and I think I drew 3 times to get a set of stats for that character, and I got a joker on every one of them.
Wow. Jeez.
But yes, undead huckster. Yay! Right. A joker is a wild card. It can literally be anything in any suit. So.
And counts for how many points?
14, if assuming I can count.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll save that for when I really need it.
King. Yeah, 14.
Right. Okay. In that case, I'll keep the joker, and instead play.
Memo. Give him something really hard.
I've only got it for the session, so.
Yeah, I know.
So that gives me 4, and that gives me another 2, which takes me up to a total of 12.
Okay. Right, that's a laborious task plus 1, basically. So that's a good success. The description isn't particularly jiving with you until the broken nose and the extreme height match up. You've never actually met Benjamin Hawke, but you've seen pictures. You have been made aware of ferrotypes and sketches.
And broken nose, tall.
Yeah, at least in one case of if you see him, go home. Because the job is no longer yours.
Not that we're going for the same jobs these days, but yeah.
But under previous circumstances, when you were in the Antipodes.
Yeah. Lyrican, could you just run over that description of the chap one more time with the broken nose and the...
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. Stocky man, well over 6 foot apparently. Short cropped hair, long waistcoat, broken nose at some point, obviously not recently. That is, alas, all that young Eustace was able to divulge.
That is, alas, a very, very good description of Benjamin Hawke.
Aha.
who is very good at cleaning up messes, as I said. He's a hired killer / assassin on occasion, but he's best at extractions, and not in the dentist sense.
Well then, this
Oh,
now
certainly a fellow was extracted.
this now smacks of even more of a setup.
And a very well put together one too. I'm not comfortable.
I take it this Mr. Hawk has the most unsavory reputation.
Oh, he's known to me. If we were going for the same gig, and I knew he was involved, I'll back out right there. He is very good. He is very clean. He doesn't leave witnesses until much of anything else.
That brings me to a question.
Mm-hmm.
The one we identified as possibly sorcerer, magic, leaving, is still, or was, still very much alive.
He did indeed walk out under his own steam, as seen by both Sheila, the newsgirl, and Tommy, the newsboy.
Now
Rival
begs the
papers.
question of, could they describe anything on his outfit or person that might help us find where he'd be now?
Do you have connections?
No.
In that case, make me an average connections check.
What do you need for that?
You need, she says, it's defaulting to spades.
Okay.
However,
And you're adding to a base value of 4 if
Yeah.
you have
Okay.
which, because you don't have anything written down.
However, I will take sorcery, but also done with spades.
One file I didn't open was my
The character sheet?
actual. Yeah.
I love this game that you can basically play without your character sheet for ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember where I even put it. There it is.
Presumably your sorcery is
I'm assuming it's
excellent.
a good.
All right, great. Right. Okay.
It's a good
Okay.
because I've got specializations in
Right. Okay.
particular
To
parts.
take it up to great. Yeah. Sure.
Have I got a target number?
Right, do I need to draw up 2 cards to replace the 2 that
Yes, yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah, if you're comfortable doing it, feel free to draw up your own 2 cards after.
And before I lay mine, do you want to clear those two?
Yeah, just doing so.
So do I have a target number to hit, or am I guessing?
Guess.
Okay.
I...
No, I'm trying to get away from giving you guys.
No, I understand
two
that.
Clear target numbers.
The other question is, am I laying 1 or 2?
You have good, therefore you can do 2.
The difficulties match pretty much the levels that the abilities are worth.
Yeah.
Yes, aren't they?
Okay.
Yeah, when they fall in between, they're a poor success. They're a poor or a good success, relatively speaking.
Okay.
So if it goes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, running poor, which good, great, exceptional, extraordinary. And obviously you're not telling us what
No.
we're actually up against, but
They
those
go-
are still useful because we can try and guess.
Okay.
how-
I'm gonna pop that then.
Okay. The
Which will give
success
me a
levels, the difficulty levels, by the way, go elementary at 2, simplistic at 6, laborious is 10, challenging is 14, astounding is 18, and then we get into don't be silly. And in between those, you're looking at partial or full successes. So I do have a little bit of leeway. So that's good plus 8. Right then, that will do it. Your knowledge of the magical world, specifically, although he's not from your specific branch, he is of your lodge. and the description has been permeating and fermenting around in the back of your brain, and finally lined up with a name, which is Ewan Davis. He's Welsh, but he follows your druidic tradition, and he is indeed a member of your lodge.
When you say a member of my lodge,
Mm-hmm.
that means...
Basically, think, we're talking Masons, the Druids, secret societies, that sort of thing. That's what
Right,
all the
okay.
magical lodges are.
So he would...
The Masons actually are one.
So how shall we say? He would probably be found in the same locations.
If he's in London, he could certainly attend one of the London houses.
Just out of interest, for purposes of my notes, Strut, can I ask which many spellings of Ewan you're going with this chap?
Potentially which spelling of Davis?
Oh, yeah.
Well-
Fair enough. Give me a sec. We are looking at... Where is he? Sorry. Shut up.
Sorry.
Don't laugh at me. I just had him listed and everything.
Sorry.
Now I can't find the bastard.
All right.
No, it's okay. It's my goof.
It's, now you know how we feel. We can't find the bastard either.
Okay, Ewan, E-W-A-N.
Oh, I got it right.
Yep.
As did I, fortunately.
As
Wow,
opposed
good.
to I-O-A-U-N.
I had E-U-A-N.
Yep. All of which are related to Evans,
Yeah.
which is ironic, given that's my surname.
And Davis with an E or without?
Davies. It is. Let me just confirm that it's Davies, not Davis. Davies. Yeah.
Yeah.
I-E-S.
I had that wrong.
Which is pronounced Davis, of course.
Yeah.
Because Welsh, we don't bother with spelling consistently.
Hell, half the time they don't bother with vowels.
Mavanwi signing in.
And when they do, there's normally too many of them.
Yep.
Hence the
It won me so many.
A-E-I-O-U spelling of Ewan.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
won me so many games of my red letter when I was at primary school, my middle name. Calling out, why? Why are you walking forwards, Linda? No reason. Got two of them. Right.
So going back to my earlier statement,
Yep.
Carter, you said this guy leaves no witnesses.
That's right.
We know a possible druid left by his own accord.
So if
May
not,
have been involved.
so if not witness, then potentially associate.
The description of said person also rings a familiar tone with me.
You know him?
Oh, no,
A name springs to mind, Ewan Davis. He has been seen in one of the local druid houses.
I wonder if we could perhaps find and have a word with Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Possibly before Benjamin finds him and
That was my next thought.
closes that thread.
I'm inclined to say we drink up and depart and see if we can find out.
Sooner rather than later.
Right. Hi,
Indeed.
sorcery. How you doing?
You like sorcery, I know you do.
I do. I think it's good, but I'm still getting my head around it because it is slightly wonky. Not wonky, it's slightly odd.
It is. I like the way we can manipulate it.
Yes. I love watching you attempt to ground out a spell in the room full of priceless artifacts.
That's fine until you
Right.
start telling me most of it was metal.
Yeah,
Well
member
then,
of the
Jack.
Druidic Temple. It
Well
will
then,
be.
gentlemen, we do appear to have a lead.
Right. You have a whole lead all to yourselves.
Yeah.
And as suspected, I came up with 3 or 4 possible ways I reckon you could go,
And we've gone the fourth.
and you've gone the different one.
Ah,
Yes, it does seem at the moment there are two people that we can investigate, which is this Davis and
Or Benjamin. But I don't know enough about Benjamin to know where he's going to be found.
Unless you have associates in the city, Mr. Carter, who would be able to identify his haunts. But if he is as dangerous as you say, we potentially don't
That's
want to
very
be going up against him at this early point.
Exactly.
Well,
I don't
theoretically, we don't
necessarily
need-
want him to know that we know we're onto him.
Okay.
So if Hawk's as good as you say he is, then he'll find us. That's nice and simple. The only tricky part is making sure that he has a reason to do so, but doesn't have a reason to kill us without first stopping and asking some questions.
With the thought of where he may be, your friend described this gentleman to you as having seen him meeting with the other chap, or just in hearsay?
That he has not met him directly, but
He's heard.
he has heard from associates.
I don't suppose he divulged of anywhere he may have been meeting said gentleman?
This was in Oxford, and I suspect we are not at the point where we are going to travel to Oxford, and I suspect that this is.
So
I
they
mean,
wouldn't
this
have
is information
met
that's
at a
months
local
old.
club or anything to organise anything.
Not that young Eustace is aware of. If Alistair has met him in London, Eustace is unaware of it. Though I suspect,
You might have a word with Alistair.
well, Alistair is probably more in keeping with a gentleman of your status, Lord Quigley. I do suspect that at least with young Eustace, it was an attempt to a childhood friend that potentially led him astray as a shield.
So, Trust, do I know where Alistair would be resident within the city when visiting these parts?
Make me a connections check, please.
A connection.
Can I go back
well,
to
hang
a
on.
point earlier?
Before he makes a connections check,
Mm-hmm.
I do mention that Eustace was heading to the Barradale Club this morning. When
Okay.
after I saw it, after breakfast, I did see young Eustace off in a cab. He was heading towards the Barradale Club, apparently. I do not know if is the Barradale Club something that I would be aware of.
You know it as it is one of the clubs frequented by the
Right.
younger upper classes.
Right, but
in London.
not specific details about it. Okay,
No.
but
Yes, you've not been there.
Randolph might.
So, connections are good to start. And connections are on spades.
Yes.
So it's not ideal. Good means I can throw 2 cards in, yeah?
Yes.
So if I throw in a 4 of spades and then I back it up with a 6 of clubs halved to 3, 7 plus my base good gives me, by my reckoning, a 13.
Okay. She says going to the right file. Right. Okay. You know that although he's not really on your radar, his family are politically opposed to the goals of the Quigleys.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to being
Oh,
Scottish.
it's some of the Quiglers.
Well, yes. To be brutally honest, the Earl of Lochshiel probably has his alignment closer to your brother than to you.
Yeah.
He's not somebody you know socially. The Barradale Club, you know, is a painfully fashionable place for the younger members of society.
Mm-hmm.
To be resident, usually when they're up from uni.
Right. So it's quite likely then it's the sort of place that Alistair would be likely to actually be staying at the club.
It's quite possible. You know, it's got a, rather than simply a couple of rooms, you know it effectively has a private guest house attached.
Well, the Barradale does seem to be a likely place to find young Alistair.
Though whether he is out of custody yet might be another thing.
Oh, there was no significant damage done. I feel that with his family connections, he'll have been released very quickly. I don't like to have to spend the night in jail.
Unless his father, of course, wanted him to learn a lesson.
Well, there's that. Can't say that I know the man well enough to predict that one.
Fair. So we do have two options. Either this Davis fellow, or heading to the Barradale Club. In search of Alistair.
I am certainly going to be out of place at this Barradale Club, I feel. So I'm going to see if I can find any information on
Please
Davis.
don't split the party.
We can do one than the other, although
I can't see that I'd be a whole lot of help at your shindig with your
Posh commoners.
druids.
So
I think I think I might be best placed playing as bodyguard to Lord Quigley.
Right. So,
Randolph, please, just Randolph. Lord Quigley's my father.
yes,
Randolph.
it's Sir Randolph, if you want to get picky, but
My apologies.
Look, I'm trying to develop a common touch here. Okay.
but one that still involves the use of gloves.
Lest he actually touch a commoner.
That's what sticks are for. I carry a cane in case I need to touch a cop.
oh god, I've just got visions of somebody dropping into this stream and just deciding that
I can just
you know,
imagine it
everybody's
now.
incredibly classy.
You there.
That's the one. That is absolutely it.
You so need a silver head, silver wolf's head or something on your cane.
The number of people that keep telling me I need to pimp my stick is unbelievable.
Yep. It's like I was well impressed. I saw a young girl in a young wheelchair user, and she had actual chromed. It was obviously blunt, but she actually had the wheel spike,
Oh, nice.
Nice.
with these goth skulls around the outside, and I just
nice.
thought that is so cool. Well done.
Yeah.
And then I realised there must be someone doing wheelchair modification.
Oh god, yeah.
And I just thought, yes.
Just a quick question about the sack piece.
Yo,
Is that just going to be a bog standard generic Hessian sack?
if I was you, know.
Are there a lot of places currently that make those in the local, or are they easily obtainable?
Only every single wholesaler, most
That's what I wanted to
retailers. They are.
So tracking down if one had been purchased recently is no
Not
point.
Possible.
Yeah.
No, that's more along the lines of looking for a needle made of hay in a haystack.
Is there anything we could do to investigate the cloth to make sure it is just plain Hessian sack?
As opposed to
I don't know. That's
Well,
why.
okay.
As in, are there any traces of something on it, maybe?
Yeah, possibly.
There's this fellow in Baker Street who's invented all kinds of
He's only just starting his career at the moment. He's an annoying post-grad.
The first time we ever see him. He's
I was
already
actually trying to find a
first
little
reliable
route that,
test for
rather
blood.
than splitting the group, would put me out of the picture for a minute.
Mm.
So you didn't have to worry about two separate groups.
No, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It's fine. It's
I mean, we
great.
can always do one. We can always do one thing and then the other
Yeah.
as a group. It's
Given that there is at least one very dangerous person around, possibly the same as a person who knows how to kill an elf at close range, a fae at close range. Because that is something that's worth noting. He was killed with a blade in his throat.
Yeah.
In relatively close quarters.
But we've seen Carter's throw. If this hawk guy is better, that doesn't necessarily mean it was close range.
That's a very good point. I can't argue with that because I made the throw.
No, that's fine. No, I'm simply saying that there is somebody out there with access to cold iron weapons.
Yeah.
So that's also a lead that we could possibly follow that we haven't thought about.
Yeah, where we to obtain cold iron.
Mm-hmm.
How commonly known is cold iron and
People think that
the uses?
Okay, the generic person on the street tends to mix up cold iron and iron. They tend to think it's literally the temperature.
Right.
Because iron does indeed dispel most glamour.
So to more precise the question, how common is it known that cold iron will hurt phase the way it does?
Everybody knows cold iron hurts fae.
But it's going
However,
to take a particular person to know the difference between cold iron.
and iron.
So it's going to take a rather skilled person to create a weapon for it.
They are available. Obviously, the fairy are not too keen on having them made, generally speaking, because it's one of the few ways to kill a fae stone dead properly.
So, can I put a question forward to Lyricane?
Yes.
Out of curiosity, would you know of anywhere that would sell cold iron weapons?
No. But it might not be too hard to find out if there are. Obviously, I do not necessarily keep... London is not my city. I do not know of any purveyors here who would, but I might be able to find out.
I thought you would probably be the best person to find out.
There is another way to look at that.
I'm all ears.
Me and Benjamin have worked in the same circles. I might know where to look. I can investigate.
This is very true.
Because there are probably... I mean, London will have a significant fae population, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is your original melting pot.
Yeah.
But
So,
the weapons are not necessarily going to have been bought in a well-known place.
Yeah. a cold iron manufacturer in the city is unlikely to be, or there is unlikely to be a cold iron manufacturer or smith in the city. It is probably something more underground or in the back streets that would be catering here.
Yeah. You're very unlikely to find industrial scale manufacturing of cold iron because it's very difficult to come across.
It is going to
I'm
be...
thinking something more...
It's individual, it's going to be
back alley sort of thing.
artisan weaponry.
Yes, it's artisanal weaponry, so you can kill people in an authentic way.
But it'll be like it'll be individuals working on single pieces. Probably not your traditional smith unless it is
With all the talk of cold iron, I assume there is no reaction from Lyricane at all from the piece of cloth that's on the table that may have been in contact with cold iron.
Lyricane has absolutely no reaction. So far, Lyricane has reacted precisely twice to the presence of cold iron in this scenario.
No, that's fair enough. I just wanted to make 100% sure that was not a
It
clue I'd
wasn't
missed.
something wrapped up in... Yeah, they didn't wrap a weapon or something.
Like they're not looking for swords on the dead body things.
On the cold iron weapon front, I just want to suggest that what we need to do is find an area of the city that is currently being brought more upmarket and see whether we can find a pop-up boutique blacksmith. That's what we need.
That's That's what Margate is, isn't it?
A pop-up boutique.
Yes.
Most of it, yeah. It's
Yeah.
about the only things currently in Margate.
Yes.
So, is it possible then for me to do a roll on connections with a speciality of merchant to see if I know someone that might be selling or might have sold such a weapon?
Much merch such things.
Yeah, go on.
Right, that's on spades, isn't it?
If
I remember rightly.
I
And the
believe
specialisation puts me up a rank as far as point goes, doesn't it?
it does.
Excellent.
So
I
what
knew
that
there's a
puts
reason
you?
I did that.
Yeah. What does that put you up to?
That gives me a starting point of 6 before I throw cards in.
Okie doke.
So,
I know if we ever find ourselves in a position to actually be selling, hint plays t-shirts and stuff, I now want a logo for our shop, which is the merch ant. I just want this ant.
yes, little ad behind a pop-up stall.
Yes.
Okay, so if I throw that in to put me up to 12,
Mm-hmm.
and just to really go for it, that to put me up to 14.
Bloody hell.
Nice.
Okay. Right. Fine. Not mucking around, so that would be a challenging success. Right.
Apologies if I drop out or get crackly. I'm just watching my internet flux.
That's okay, don't worry about it. You wouldn't be the first tonight. You're not going to be
No,
the
I
last.
just watched it really bottom out, and I was like, what?
Yeah. There's a reason I've got a dongle in addition to the Ethernet cable, because my internet periodically goes, you know what, now I'm going to turn off your network card for
Nice.
reasons known to somebody else. So now I've got the dongle. Fortunately, that can just take up the slack straight away. Yeah. Every now and then I'm just watching it flick from Ethernet to Wi-Fi for no good reason. So, yes, that is a pretty damn good score. No one's leaping to mind as openly selling such things, because there really aren't any valid civilian reasons. However, you know who you might talk to find out who is manufacturing at the moment
Okay.
in London. There is a gentleman, and you use the term advisedly, by the name of Nikolai.
Sounds like one of Alex's lot.
I was going to say Brenda.
Who is an expert shopper. Let's just say that. He is an expert personal shopper for the discerning agent about town. He doesn't handle goods in and of himself, because that would be far too easy to be tracked. However, what he can do is arrange for delivery.
Yeah, brokers the meetings and brokers yeah.
Yes, while keeping his own hands pretty much clean and well filled.
Yes.
You're not sure what his surname is, because you've heard at least 4.
Which would make sense.
And although he uses the name Nikolai and is pushing 6 feet, blonde and blue-eyed, he has an Oxbridge accent. You have no idea where he's from.
Again, that kind of fits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just popping out for a few moments.
Okay. No worries. So, you've got a couple of leads. I'm just going to run down a couple of things you guys do know, that it's been a few weeks.
May have forgotten.
You may have forgotten. Information from the Evening Standard and Evening News vendors, the urchins,
Tommy and Sheila.
Tommy and Sheila.
Sheila, that's a good name, Sheila.
Yep. Who both saw Ewan leaving the museum.
Yeah.
Tommy also saw the dwarf twins that Chekhov had been talking to.
True.
leave shortly before Ewan did.
Which would tally in with the argument between the two before any of this happened.
Yep. I can't remember if I'd confirmed they were twins, but they were basically identical. And
Yeah.
not just in a they all look the same to me.
Going back to them seeing him leaving, I'm assuming that was separate directions.
They left at... They didn't leave with. The dwarf
Yeah,
twins went
the
off
dwarves
together.
went out front,
Yeah.
but I meant
From our point of view, on our timeline internally, what was the gap between the dwarves leaving after their argument with Chekhov and
everything
Chekhov
kicking up.
wandering out and
Disappearing.
disappearing?
The timeline went... The dwarves left the building and hit the street. Then there was a crack of lightning.
Pretty much straight after, or
Yep. Then Ewan was seen leaving the grounds. And Chekhov vanished somewhere between the dwarves leaving and the flash of lightning. Or the crack of lightning, let's rephrase that. Because Chekhov walked outside with his two bodyguards,
Yeah.
and the lightning sound happened.
But
Outside
how
the
long
door.
after the dwarves left did Chekhov leave?
He spoke to you, so no more than 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay. Trying to remember whether we overheard any of his argument with them or just observed that.
You did.
we did hear bits.
Yes, you did hear bits. I think all of you
I don't
did.
know what I wrote down, but we did hear bits.
What they were saying was they were pleading with him. It was less an argument. They were pleading with him to not go through with it
Yeah, he'll do as he sees fit.
because it is dangerous. And Chekhov appeared to be reassuring them and saying that he would do as he sees fit.
And them asking about money and him saying it isn't, he knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and their little alternating sentence of such danger, let it be forgotten. We should never have done it. Let it go. It's hidden. Let it stay hidden.
Yep.
See, I do take notes.
Yeah, that's right.
For some reason, I didn't take notes of those. I'm glad someone did.
I have a feeling that Randolph actually didn't overhear any of that. Maybe why I have no notes.
Ah, I'm fairly sure Livercane did though.
Didn't investigate.
But yeah, basically it was he was clearly going to do something which they felt was involving something of great weight that should not be done.
When you say great weight, do you mean as in import or do you mean as in physical weight? Because we've got that heavy sack.
That's just going to keep cycling back round now, isn't
That
it?
is, yeah. Yeah, we need to put a bag in that one. Yeah, I was thinking of great import. I'm fairly sure Livercane
I thought
overheard
you
it
were.
though.
Did I remember something being said about there being cold iron in the painting?
In
Yeah.
the painting with the cannon, yeah.
Yes.
Certainly reacted to it.
Did we ever? I'm supposing we didn't ever actually look into that any further.
Nope.
I am
No.
assuming, but it is only an assumption because I wasn't necessarily, I think, close enough to have been involved in the conversation. So it's a personal assumption rather than a character assumption because Carter doesn't know that there are filings mixed in with the paint.
That might do it. That would certainly do it.
Yeah,
Cool.
I was too uncomfortable to investigate any.
Yep.
Yeah,
Close.
that I can understand. I didn't know. If,
Yeah.
And then
You
and
were
then he left and all the rest of it.
it all went
And everything else
basically.
happened.
Yeah,
It all went
basically, you registered that there was cold iron in the painting from a metre or so away. But you experienced the minor discomfort, well, the minor pain, discomfort of a small amount.
Hmm.
You're talking in the grams rather than the
Yeah.
ounces.
Yeah, but it could be enough to have. This is a far stretch hypothesis. Sort
Hey,
of
go for it. I can cope with
We
frustration.
specialise in those.
Yep.
thing.
I'm wondering who's thinking.
I'm assuming it's the same sort of amount that could possibly outline blueprints without being seen.
Gosh, that's an interesting thought.
That was a really interesting answer.
It is a very games mastery answer.
Yeah. I
Now-
don't know whether I
You
want
may
to.
think that, but I couldn't possibly comment.
Yes.
Yes. It now begs the question: do I want to spend the time going back to see if I can get a closer look?
Can't off the top of my head think of any particular reason why you would specifically want cold iron for that purpose.
Other than
Because
stop
if-
looking at it.
Exactly. To
Yeah.
stop phase
Yeah, I
looking
was going
at
to
it
say, if
instinctly.
this dead unseelie that we have around, we've been working on the assumption that he was hired for some task by Hawk and then disposed of afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
What if this is in fact to do with maybe a third party involved in this, or one of the existing parties? Chekhov might want an item with cold iron in it, concealed cold iron item, in his proximity if he were concerned about Faye. Because it would be an excellent way of stopping them coming near him,
Indeed.
killing any that did so undercover.
But I'm assuming Lurkane had no sense of cold iron when he was near Chekhov when you
No.
guys were talking.
No, but if
Painful.
you're
If
Sorry.
Chekhov's concerned about, say, an unseelie who may or may not mean him harm, then a good way of revealing any such unseelie, perhaps hidden under a glamour, would be to stand next to a painting with cold iron in it and look for the people who don't come near,
True.
or just lose their glamour when they do. I don't know whether cold iron interferes with Fey magics at all.
Really
it's
does.
certainly is uncomfortable. Maintaining any level of concentration will depend upon the amount present, of course. It would take an exceptional member of the fairy to maintain glamours without some form of disruption, however slight, in the face of cold iron.
So whether that was in fact part of Chekhov's game or not, is a dashed useful thing to know.
He's doing that shark thing. Make him stop.
Wonder if I can try that.
Well, you know who was organising the exhibition.
The owner has mysteriously disappeared at the moment.
The painter has mysteriously disappeared.
But was
He
not-
didn't organise the event, did he?
No, he
Nope.
didn't.
No,
Miss-
the event was organised by Harrison. Oh, what's that?
Yeah.
Adelaide
That's it.
Harrison,
Mrs. Adelaide Harrison.
whose husband George was the one who got him out of Prussia a couple of months ago.
With regards to the party,
Mm-hmm.
was that? Is it that there was an exhibition of Chekhov's material happening at the British Museum, and this was the night of basically the launch party or something like that? But the items would actually, the exhibits would actually still be in place, or was it a one-off thing that they would have brought things in just for that?
It
for the
was
party?
a one-off event.
Right. So it's likely that today all the pieces are being moved
Yep.
back or out.
Whether Inspector Jarrett will allow it.
There
But
is the
Bob-
whole business of the murders, yes.
Because Jarrett doesn't seem very good.
Jarrett's perfectly reasonable. You just ran over him with a verbal steamroller.
Plus, to be honest, I don't think we really have, Victorian London CSI on the scene.
No.
Magnified.
Yeah, I'm-
Yeah, it's like a call for magnified just brings in a larger magnifying glass.
Yes.
So my question is now,
Hmm.
where do we want to go from here?
You're all on at least your fourth coffee, by the way, or hot chocolate,
Yeah.
depending on how you.
I suspect probably the most time dependent one is seeing your druid associate.
If we believe that Hawk may mean him harm, then yes,
Yeah.
perhaps he would be our
He would be our first port of call because he is the one most likely to run out of time on us.
How many, shall we say, druid places are there in the city?
There's one main one in
One
London,
main.
and there are a couple of satellite establishments. You
Now,
know, the
having
equivalent
known
of
the name,
kiosks.
is he likely to frequent a main one or a kiosk?
From what little you know of the man, we're talking when I say big guy, we are talking sort of Brian Blessed type build.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're not talking yourself like Nymphette here.
Chekhov's
No,
alive.
Yes, all right, thank you. Gordon's annoyed. So, he likes his comfort, and
So he's probably going to be at the main one if he
Yes.
likes his comfort.
yeah, and his predilection for wandering around town in eccentric robes. He wants to be noticed. He likes being noticed.
Which is also a bad thing because it means he's not going to be hard to miss
Yeah.
by
Don't-
anybody
don't
looking
all
for him.
Skill to locate him, is it?
No, but it's not just if he's in any threat. It's not going to be just us trying to find him. It's not going to be hard for Hawk.
Hmm.
Absolutely not.
And if he's
No.
been hired, then presumably he already knew where to find him in the first place.
Exactly.
So,
I personally think we should head to the Druid House and see if he actually returned last night.
Good
Right,
call.
well, I suppose somebody better get us a cab.
okay. Well,
Depends how far it is. We could run.
London, dear. One does
No, I
not
know.
run in London.
Hang on,
Gentlemen, we do
gentlemen,
not
perhaps
run.
don't.
A gentleman
Yes.
might not run. Alexia and I, we can sprint.
Yes. Well, you are allowed to perspire, I suppose. It's just Navi's. What was it? Navi's sweat, gentlemen
This is
perspire.
what you have the
women
two
merely
ends of the
glow.
scale, and
Right. Ladies merely glow. That's it. Apparently, they're all radioactive. So, yes.
Lifespan is probably 80 to 100 years.
does the Druid
Sorry.
House we're going to head to have a name?
Yes, but you're not allowed to tell anybody. What's the part of what part of being is in a secret
Secret
of magical
society.
order? Everybody's a mutant or everyone's in a secret society. Oh, hang on a minute, that's paranoia.
Trust the computer.
I was
the
going to say
computer
I
is your
didn't
friend.
think it was a secret society as much.
Uh,
It certainly isn't secret with Davis walking in and out the front door wearing robes and carrying a staff.
And wanting to be noticed around town.
no, it is simply it has a name. It has a number.
Okay.
In this
It
case,
probably does have a name as well,
Yeah.
but whether that name is official is another matter. I'm
Yes.
just thinking back to my days as a druid, to the wrong type of druid altogether.
well, it's secret society. Technically,
We had a lot less magic.
I can't wait
And
for
I
my next spell.
believe, although the lodge does have a number, I believe Queen of Planet.
fair
is the
enough.
Name. So you
Okay.
see these sort of tends to have, so to say. I mean, if nothing else, the building probably has a name because it's going to be a flash building. These are the
Well, I
sort
was just thinking if we're getting a cab, who's telling them where we're going?
Okay.
of-
You can
It's not really both.
you can give the address. The building itself, however, is the colonnade.
Right.
Could be worse. Could be the cannonade.
Could be lemonade.
And it's
Yeah.
near St James's Park.
I hope no one expects to know where in hell in London that is.
Well, I'm taking punts that the person who lives in London or lives near
My
it.
knowledge of the geography of London largely stops at there is a place called London.
About the same as mine then.
I'm quite good on the underground map, how it relates to actual above ground London.
Yeah, I'm with Drop there.
Used to be to everybody.
Yeah. Always makes me giggle when you're looking, okay, that's 6 stops on the underground, or in fact 50 feet. If you just cross a road.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's hail a hansom, shall we?
Yes. Or an average, depending on how picky you are.
Very.
I see. Okay, yes, you can indeed summon up a hansom. And an actual horse, albeit with brass levers attached to the harness, comes rattling up. It even has a driver.
Levers on the harness? What?
For information purposes, St James's Park is the large green space to the west of Victoria.
Yeah.
I know the underground station by name.
Yep.
I can only picture the underground station as I've gone through it several
What he
times.
means is the park in this setting actually follows the Queen around.
So it's one of the southernmost of the royal parks, heading towards Kent. Area around Victoria, Kensington, Green Park.
So how long is that going to take us from where we are?
Well, it's going to take as long as the cutscene takes.
It's as long as
The cutscene
takes.
Don't knock it. However, I would like you all to make me perception checks, please, whilst in the cab. And yes, thank God I was thinking, that is the one I'm thinking of, isn't it? For the location. And I'm quite glad you've confirmed that.
What do we need for perception?
Diamonds.
Diamonds aren't apparently forever.
And if we have a poor, that's
1 card.
Yeah.
4 starting. Or
That's
2.
Average
2.
4. 2. 4 is 2.
2.
2. The only thing I've got I can play is that.
Oh well, that's worth 15 on its own.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm going
The
to
only thing I've got to play to give me any chance of any success.
I'm going to throw that 4 in to add to my average, so that gives me a total of 8.
I'm going to throw a 2 of hearts in for +1 to make me 7.
Okay. Yeah, you were stuck there, weren't you?
Yeah, actually,
one lower than me.
Actually, I've got good. I can throw 2 cards in, so let's make that 8 as well.
Okay.
Oh, lordy dicks. Okay, so
I'm going to be really, really tight and rely on everyone else's perception. I'm going to throw that in.
Everyone else, you mean Alexi, don't you?
I'm going to throw that in for a 1 to give me 7.
right, okay. Let's pull those back.
I'm not sure if that was a head in hands or if that.
Yeah, that was two different people there just said, oh, well, I'll throw in this terrible card that only gives me +1 to put me 1 below fish managed. Anyone who thinks that Randolph isn't particularly perceptive.
They might think that. They'd be right.
He's not
Okay.
unperceptive.
It's just there are more things to be concerned about.
He's perceptive to the right things.
Absolutely. He's terribly perceptive. He's just always focused on the wrong things.
Hello, Bertie.
I missed the assassin entirely, but I did see that young lady over there. And
Yeah.
that new tailor's that's just opened.
Randolph is like Bertie if Bertie wasn't annoying
Yeah.
in so many ways.
Wait, Randolph's not annoying? I'm playing it.
I think it's a completely different axis to how annoying Bertie was.
It's a matter of scale. I haven't yet dropped a building on you. Okay, so
There's a yet in that.
Yeah.
it may
Randolph
be on
actually
the
has
list of options.
Randolph has the money to back up.
Yes. Although I have to say, I do love the armour. Right. So, Alexi, when casually glancing out of the window, going, "Oh, I'm not normally at this height. I'm normally down there in the shit."
Not quite that low.
No,
Close, but not quite.
Crossing certain roads in London when horses are a prevalent means of transport.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put it this way: everyone's got really nice roses. So,
Don't stop to smell them.
hey, don't knock it. My mum used to swing out and grab manure when horses went past when I was a kid. Gardeners, what are you going to do? So, Alexei, sticking his head out of the window, a little bit like a spaniel,
By the assassin.
sees a cab keeping pace with them. And I can hear horses and fishies at the
I was
soundboard,
just
isn't
about to say I hear horses.
We're in a cab.
it? Yes.
Fish is looking mischievous.
Yes. You haven't had the Wilhelm scream yet. So,
So are they keeping pace as in behind?
somebody tries to cut you up and the cab swerves and squishes someone. They are keeping pace. They are keeping pace exactly 2 vehicles back. When somebody pulls into the flow of traffic from a side road, they actually whip up the horse, overtake, and pull in again.
I'm assuming they're basically keeping no vehicles between us.
They're keeping 2 vehicles between you
2 vehicles,
Yeah.
and that's it.
All
Yeah.
times. Two
at all
vehicles.
times.
What happens to the traffic?
Yep.
Hmm.
Does appear to be a cab, or at least it looks like a standard two-wheel Hanson.
Dash it! I wish we were in that cab. Always wanted to say follow that cab.
I wonder what would happen if we did say that.
Yeah, okay, let's put.
Image of these 2 cabs going round and round the circle.
I will say now, you do not get to do a handbrake turn in a Hanson.
Ah,
Why? You can do it in a battleship.
I knew that was coming. I knew
No.
that was coming.
No,
I
bad.
never forget it. I will never forget that film.
No, fair enough. That was because it was awful. So, Shrumph. No. So, yes, you are being followed. You weren't sure initially, but after a couple of vehicles have both joined and left the stream of traffic, and the cab adjusted itself to stay at the same distance, you realise that somebody is indeed on your trail. You are the only one who's noticed.
not to disturb you, gentlemen, but I do believe we're being followed.
In what way?
There's a handsome 2 cabs back. Always 2 cabs back. With traffic
like we're being
coming and
followed.
going, it is always 2 cabs back.
Well, it's not unreasonable that we've attracted a certain amount of attention. From what you've said, Carter, it seems unlikely to be this Hawk fellow. He would be a little more circumspect.
Subtle. Yeah.
Subtle with the side order of stabby, possibly.
Just out of curiosity, I assume they've been following us from the moment we got in our hands.
That would be an assumption.
It is an assumption. I didn't know if we knew when we picked them up
No.
or picked the tail up. So I've
No.
just happened to notice it during the journey.
You happen to notice it during the journey, yes.
Right.
Could have even been following one of us
Could have been,
to
yeah.
the Majestic.
Yeah.
And then all of us. So it might just be one of us that's being followed.
That could
Well,
well
what
be.
effect? What effect?
You know, you said you didn't want to split up the party.
Well, yeah, I did say that.
So
I'm
what I
sorry,
really-
a pleasant smile is just evil.
You have to leap out of the cab, roll under cover so you're Then nip back out and jump onto the footboard at the back of the other cab so you can find out who's following us. You're okay with that, right? None of which we said in character. I just want to make that clear.
Well, we don't know Carter's specialities.
In theory, there is one of us who could do that.
Yeah. That would
Without
definitely
actually
get
getting
noticed.
dirty as well.
Lurricane is not going to do that.
Coward.
Hey, Lurricane has no athleticism, so
No, Lurricane is definitely not geared for the James Bond-esque antics.
Are we able to get the cab to take an alternate route to our destination, just to be 100% sure they are following the cab?
You can indeed redirect the cab.
Yeah, it's
That's-
actually tempting to do that.
What, the hop out, hop on?
Yeah, I've got good athletics.
Yeah, if you want to do it, you can go for it, mate. I'm happy to take that ball.
What?
Take that check
What
off
if we help you out, and as we ask the cab to redirect, we slow him down a little bit?
you. Oh, not help him out, as in open the door and shove.
No. As in, we ask the cabbie to take a different direction.
Mhm.
Carter knows where we're heading to anyway, but we get the cabbie to kind of slow down at a corner or something, so he doesn't get noticed getting out.
If we're going to change route to confirm this chap is following us, then all it really takes is to sort of zig round a little bit, so that Carter has plenty of time to be in position for when we come past. So you don't have to get straight to the other cab. You can get to it as we pass you the second time, so to speak.
Mhm.
So we let you out, go round in a circle,
And if he's still not following us,
still
then
following.
we'll just pick you up.
and if
That
he
works.
is, you're ready as we come past.
By the way, if you're interested, the specific road is Birdcage Walk, is where the colonnades are.
Birdcage walk. I have a feeling I'm going to need to make a note of that.
Because you might be walking there.
Because I might be walking there, yes.
Because it's great, because I love St James's Park, because the other side of St James's Park is a little place called the Mall. Or the Mall, rather, because I'm
Yeah.
British.
Either way, we still need to try and get the driver to divert in a way that will allow Carter to be dropped off without being seen.
Yep.
If
That's
we
it, just-
take, if we take our turn, which side of the cab is Carter sitting on?
You had the same
I
thought
hadn't
as me.
chosen, but yeah,
Because we
whichever
just
side.
turn in the opposite direction.
So the door that I exit from
If we're-
is that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, has a
St
cab
James's
between
Park, is
it
that
and the Butte.
square or round?
St James's Park is kind of lozenge shaped.
Lozenge change. Are we going clockwise or anti-clockwise?
You are currently heading up heading down Horse Guards, and will shortly be turning right onto Birdcage Walk.
We're really close.
It's okay, go past and do a lap.
But we need you to turn right so you can get out the left.
So turn right onto Birdcage Walk, and then keep going, and do a lap.
Yeah, could do.
Yeah, that would do.
That works.
Yep, you could quite happily go down the mall back round again.
Yeah, that works.
You know, I had
Well,
a
I'm going to
very-
ask the driver to do that then. I'm
Sorry.
also going to ask him take it a little bit slow on the corner so Knight has the time to get out.
Okay.
Without killing myself.
Yeah, this is just because they charge you extra for each person who's in the cab at the end of the ride, isn't it? It's just everyone's going to hop out and there's going to be
Well-
one bloke sat there.
That's going to make no difference if we're picking him up again later.
True. Sorry, Fish, what were you saying?
No, I was just making a random in-character comment. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Okay, so, yeah, the turn is coming up. Who's asking the cabbie and how are you phrasing it?
Slow down on the corner for a minute, mate.
Okay, fair enough. Right. The
We
turn...
haven't actually asked him to do that loop yet. We
Not
can
yet.
do that.
Not yet. Because I'm going to allow Knight to get out and then I will ask him as he approaches the place just to do a lap.
Knight, would you
Yes.
like to make me a athletics check, please? please?
Yes, I would.
So how many broken legs are you going with?
That's what I'm trying to work out. What can I get away with, and what can I save for what inevitably is coming up at the other end of this little jaunt? So,
We need a drum roll on this.
Before he jumps out, can I ask one question? You said
got
the
the
cabs
drumstick.
were two cabs back.
Yep.
Time-wise, for passing the same point,
Mm-hmm.
how long's that?
It's not like you've got chevrons on the road and can count.
No, but you can count the time it takes you to pass a lamppost for the next one.
You can indeed. Okay. You've got tops 30 seconds.
I'm going to ask Carter if he can actually do that now.
I can do
Exactly. You've got 30 seconds
Yeah,
from getting out before the other cab passes you.
yeah.
Are we doing the lap and
Yes,
then
I
you're
think so.
joining him?
The whole
Well,
advantage of the lap
30
is that you've got 30 seconds to hide, and then couple of
30
minutes.
seconds is plenty of time to get out and then get in the next one as it comes to. 30 seconds is a long time. If you stand there and count 30 seconds, it's a
Okay.
long time.
Well, do you want to just do that?
Mississippi 2. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take an athletics check, please.
Yep. So starting at 6,
Okay.
that makes 9,
Okay.
and that 11 should be sufficient, I think.
It's only
Okay.
half a round.
It's only half a what?
Half a round.
True. Okay. So, yes, you can hurl yourself out of the cab. Oh, yes, Fish, you need to draw.
Sorry. Oh no, that's right. I just played something. Didn't I?
Just realised I'm showing completely the wrong thing.
Gold.
Let's close down all the extraneous things. Because there are some websites I really don't need people to see. Because I just realised
Well,
Nothing right for that sentence, was it?
I had a couple of work ones left open.
Yeah.
Sue me. Yeah. No, not like that. Unlike what I said to a saleswoman who turned up on the doorstep the other day. I'm sorry, I'm with the client at the moment. Before I realised I was basically in knee-length shorts and a t-shirt. Oh, okay. Yeah, that wasn't actually what I meant. God, humans, what are you going to do? So, they are there. So, hop out, dear boy, hop out.
Indeed.
Hop off.
So, you jump out, roll,
Yep.
avoid the curb,
Yep.
which could do you some damage, and make it to the pavement before the first of the two vehicles behind you comes past.
Yep.
I take it one of you's grabbing the door to pull it closed after he hops out.
Yep.
Yeah, whoever is next to him.
Okay. Which, given that Alexi's on the other side, because otherwise he wasn't looking out a window, is either going to be Randolph or Lyricane.
Okay, I'll assume Randolph then.
Sure. Squished up next to Lyricane. I'm sure they're both thrilled.
Grab a door.
Right. So the first one goes past. The second intervening vehicle goes past. The
And I'm
third.
jumping on the third.
The third. Right. I will take another athletics check. You have had a cry, a little chorus of "Oi, Mister," and what?
That I'm
from various
completely
people
ignoring.
That you're completely ignoring. Yes, I thought
Yeah.
you probably were.
So again, athletics starting at 6.
Yep.
That makes 14, and
Uh-huh.
just for a bit of luck, 15.
Okay. You manage with great athleticism to leap from the curb, get one foot on the running board of the cab, another hand over the open window, which obviously is also the door,
Yep.
and can pull yourself half up. You get a view into the cab before the door is roughly shoved open, sending you sprawling back out onto the road.
Ooh, I say.
Make me a perception check to see how much you saw of the cab's inhabitants.
Okay.
I have to step away for a sec.
Shyst.
And that is going on to a perception of... Where's perception gone?
Yeah.
That's a good perception, so 6 plus the Joker.
So 21.
Bugger. Right, okay.
I said I was saving it for something
You
important.
were, yes, you were saving
And
that
back.
for causing trouble. Excellent. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Did he play the Joker?
I did. Did I get as far as a g'day before they
So you
kick the
get,
door open?
Basically, yeah.
You get double points for this round then.
Yeah. I did wonder if anyone was going to make that.
Yeah. Gain yourself your remaining cards back. Okay. Believe this. Yes.
Oh,
in
good.
that case, you can see clearly the
Now the rain is gone.
inhabitants of the cab, which is 2 dwarves.
Would it be the same 2 dwarves that were...
Too
It
remarkable.
seems likely to you.
Did they look a lot alike?
They kind of do look identical, yes.
Probably dwarves all look the same anyway. So.
No. Been there. Done that joke. Not even to the Australian eyes. On that
The
have
trained,
an image
perceptive Australian eyes.
Of, yes, true. On that have not an image of Aussie dwarves. Because they're all immune to fire, so they can all do the barbecue.
Yeah, it's perfect then, yeah.
Yeah. Only worried about the flare-ups? No, not really. Okay.
So, in this universe, dwarves invented barbecues.
They did now.
Just imagine it now. Leap on the door. Just about. G'day. Swing. Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
No chance of hanging on at all.
No.
Damn.
Not with what you're doing. You basically got one elbow over. And we're reaching up to get the thing, to open the door. But unfortunately, the nearest one just boots the door. And it swings open and catapults you off.
Okay.
I will take an athletics check purely to ascertain, but it's not a difficult one.
For a safe landing.
For a safe landing, yeah.
Okay. Is that with the cards I had remaining, or can I include the ones that I've just picked up?
Once you've just drawn this, it's a separate action.
Okie dokie. Let's see. Oh, I kind of want to keep those. I kind of want to keep... What does that get used for? Just trying to work out what cards I can actually afford to throw out of the 4 that I have.
Okay.
Now those 2 are only going to get me 1 point.
I like this system because you can judge your own level of success to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has its advantages. It also has its disadvantages because there are times, and as we've already discussed, where you want to just be able to throw a die and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's make it a reasonable one.
Okay.
Jacks are 11,
Yes.
making 17.
Okay. You do your cat feet thing. Shoulder roll over a grocer. And land on your feet. As the cab that was following yours peels off. The horses are whipped up. And it basically does a U-turn.
So it's coming back towards him.
It's going back the other way.
Okay.
On the other side of the road.
Getting the hell out of Dodge, presumably.
Yeah.
Is there any identifying markings on the cab?
Not on the cab, however, the horse is a piebald,
Ooh.
which is
Not being a horsey
wild
type, I have no clue what that means, but
it means that it's black. It basically, think Frisian cow. Black and white.
Okay.
It's not a wildly common.
I assume
Okey
most of the
dokey.
other horses pulling cabs are just plain colour.
A lot of them are just brown, yeah.
So presumably,
It was a
since
private vehicle.
we have people watching, being aware,
Mm-hmm.
know that the cab following us has now done a U-turn and is buggering off.
Mm-hmm.
Will that have been before or after I asked the guy to do a lap?
It's been about 30 seconds. Depends how fast you asked him to do a lap. You're still on birdcage walk at the moment.
Well, I was going to wait and
thought
see if
we
Knight actually
dismissed-
made it onto the carriage.
And yeah, I thought we'd dismissed the idea of doing a lap because he was just going to go straight to the carriage, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if he made it onto the cab before we reached destination, would we have seen him be thrown off as quickly?
Good
I
question.
think we possibly would. We would certainly have seen the cab turn round.
Yes.
Because we're watching.
Even if you didn't see the person.
Possibly a perception check to see whether we saw the flying Australian.
That's such a circus
Because if
act.
we saw that before, I asked, then I'm going to ask the cab driver to stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is where he's kind of going with the have we seen this?
Yeah, don't worry about a perception check. You can see the cab, the suspicious cab, pull around, do a 180 and leave.
Then I'm going to ask the cabbie to stop sort of immediately.
Yep.
Because I'm assuming Night Bites is only like 200 metres back or something like that.
How fast
Either
do you
that
think
or
these
I'm on
things
and they've
go?
captured me.
Well, yeah. Okay, Knight, what you doing?
You say it was a grocer that I'd sort of barreled over.
Yes.
What was on his stall?
Oranges.
May I?
Yeah, right.
Cheers. Have a good one, mate. And then head off towards these guys.
He's slightly baffled because you literally just tumbled over him. And he's kind of...
I was I was banking on that to not have to pay for
Yeah. Yes. Free fruit now, but
Absolutely.
but a resentful NPC in the future.
Let's hope we don't come down this street again.
Yeah. Why would you want to
Well,
come
I
through
probably
central
won't.
London?
You might, because your lodge is here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think this
Yes.
lodge is a little bit higher class than what I'd probably stay in.
No, you are entitled to stay in this
Yeah,
one.
okay.
This is your quote mother lodge in London.
Okay.
You're just from East Anglia, so you tend to be in a it used to be an inn.
Standards
Um,
don't really matter.
Yeah, with smugglers' caves underneath.
Sounds like fun.
Right. No, don't do that. Sorry. Oh, okay, fine.
So where we've stopped, how far from our destination are we?
You are, she says, coming off the map that she needs to be on.
Sorry.
About
Very
there.
extremely close. It says in 100 meters you have reached your destination.
Yeah. Yeah, probably no more than 100 yards.
So should we just pay the cabbie and dismiss him then and wait for the car?
If we've stopped anyway, we could probably walk the last
Exactly.
100
He
yards.
does
can't
want to
we?
know. He does want to know what the bloody hell you all think you're doing.
I think I'm paying you well. I'll have to do it roughly twice what the fare should have been.
Well, right then. Bob a gent there,
Does it?
sir. Right. So you can make the rest of the distance on foot, and Carter can indeed come bounding up with an orange, clutched in his up little hands.
Bastards kicked me off the door.
Bastards have landed.
Did you find anything?
2 dwarvens. Look identical.
I
Like,
see.
as in, very identical.
So,
like
on
twins.
the subject of third parties, this is neither Chekhov, nor is it Klein or Aloysius and their people. This is the dwarves that Chekhov was involved with, who presumably want to know where he's gone.
They didn't let me stick around to ask him.
Shame, really. yeah, the enemy of my enemy and all that, they might actually have been useful.
They still might. The horse pulling their carriage was piebald. I don't think that's very common.
Yes, that's probably could be used to track it down. Yes. I wonder who one would ask about such things. Other
Friendly
cab-
cabbie?
Oh, probably.
As our carriage disappears off into the
Yes.
distance.
Yep. Also, there
Well,
are caveats.
when we've had our visit, we will presumably be getting a cab to take us wherever we're going next, so we can ask them.
Right.
Unless anyone has a better plan.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So, at the House of the Colonnades, and not the House of the Rising Sun, as I just wanted to call it. It's a very different, but still druidically appropriate name.
There
Yes.
is a house in.
Probably. Houses of negotiable affection. Right. So, you can indeed walk up to the Colonnades, which is named that for a reason. Because it has
I
one
assume there's a
outside.
lot of column. What is a colonnade then?
Colonnades, they are the columned walkways.
Like what was at the museum?
Yeah.
Sorry, not very educated.
No, it's not. Nobody's
That's-
born knowing architectural features.
It's one of the good things about role-playing games. It educates you damn quick. I remember, going back to the late 70s and early 80s, or pretty much every scenario published by TSR for Dungeons and Dragons included a glossary of the new words you probably didn't know that were much for architecture. Every one of them had that.
Wow.
Yeah, fantasy literature as a whole tends to be I remember reading Michael Moorcock as a teenager and having to jot down
With a dictionary handy.
yeah,
Yep.
or rather have my notebook that I would then go and look up in the school library because my home dictionaries were not good enough.
Yes.
Yes,
Michael
Duoma.
Michael Moorcock and my first contact with H.P. Lovecraft both
Yeah.
had me going, hang on. Although I cheated, I had an Oxford dictionary at home, so that was fairly reasonable. So I literally had the dictionary next to me,
yeah,
which is how I found out what squamous meant.
yeah. Duoma or Dawama was was
Yeah.
one of the harder
Yes.
ones. To...
And gibbous.
Mm.
Yeah. Right.
It's a type of hope, isn't it?
I'm going to hurt you. General speaking, that's not actually to do with the game. I'm just going to. What the hell?
General principles, yeah.
Yeah. When are you coming back to swords? So. Ouch. Sorry, something has bitten me.
Wasn't me.
Right. Thank you. It's a relief from 3 miles away.
Yeah. That, just making sure, nobody thought that was part of the same conversation. That's all.
Well, you reckon that it's just back to back in the same room? Okay.
We share a flat.
Yeah, good point. So, yes, the colonnades are there. There is a doorman in flash uniform with green braid linking his shoulder to his collar, and a small, discreet emblem of your order.
Druids and their colour coding.
Didn't say it was subtle. Nothing about this game is subtle. This game is
I'm
in
learning
big
that.
print with exclamation marks.
I look at him closely to see if I can determine whether he is true neutral.
Nope. Very nope.
So, for those who don't know, in earlier editions of Dungeons and Dragons, Druids had to be true neutral alignment.
Yeah. No, this didn't mean druids had to be evil then good.
But some
Alternating.
people don't know how alignment works.
Yes. Okay.
The
Night Dawn-
homeostatic approach to alignment.
I know. I think it's the tightrope walking option. You lean
Yeah.
one way, then you lean the other. Then no. Yeah, I've always gone with
So,
bit more
walking
nuanced.
up to the door, is the doorman likely to recognise?
The doorman will not know you from a hole in the ground, possibly
No,
literally.
fair enough.
However, you have in your possession the pin which identifies you as a member of the order.
Okay.
Should we
Because-
stab it?
Secret badge.
Yes. Yep. You
So that's
can-
not going to be become visible. It's going to be sort of under a collar or something like that.
It's entirely up to you. I mean, you can wear them openly, if you wish.
Maybe.
I'm just thinking,
Like the way his open.
no one saw it when I was at the party.
Nobody cared, really,
So-
to be fair.
Well, I'm just thinking of Lyra Kane's reaction to my little electric show.
Yeah, it did come as a surprise to us that he was.
So they didn't have any inkling. I'm
No.
assuming I wasn't wearing it
It,
openly.
these logos could be medallion, they could be a medal, they could be a pin, they could be on your watch fob. If you're feeling really dedicated, you could have it tattooed on.
Yeah, I like the watch idea. Actually.
I know you like the watch idea, but I like
Back.
more the fact of having a pin cast in my staff that I don't currently have on me.
No, you've had your staff, but
That's
you've
kinda
never
cool,
actually had
but-
it.
No, exactly. But I just like the idea of it being in the staff. But I'm assuming it's going to be sort of under my shirt collar, and I'll just
Yeah.
flick the collar up to show it.
Okay.
I assume he's going to ask me about my friends. Or is he just going to allow me to take them in?
Your companions can wait in the strangers' lounge.
Strangers Lounge.
Hey,
Get much stranger than us.
Elaborate.
Okay, every club, and that's basically what the lodges are,
Mhm.
will have a members area, which is literally members only.
Okay.
Some may let you sign for a non-member, but there will always be a strangers' lounge, which is where non-members can come and meet with members relatively freely.
Okay.
So while you could go further into the lodge, your friends can't go any further than the strangers' lounge.
Is there any way I could take any of them with me?
Well, if you can think of a really good argument. But this chap only deals with getting you inside.
Yeah, so I'm assuming there's like a desk like a hotel or something
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah, there's basically double doors as you walk in, with appropriately florid, and indeed floral, twisting vine design painted on the wall around. And to the right hand side is a door marked private. To the left hand side is a desk.
The right hand side is a door marked private. To the left hand side, a door marked corporal.
Where does the staff sergeant go?
Is that the only doors in? Because obviously, if they're going in the strangers' lounge, I'm assuming there's a third location.
Not that you can see.
We've got what, a door
Where the
on
hell's
one
the strangers' lounge?
desk on the other side. And does the corridor continue, or
The corridor does not continue. The desk is basically, there is a maitre d' type looking chap stood behind the desk, and in front of him is a large leather book.
And then we have a wall and a door to the right.
Yep.
So where's the strangers' lounge?
Are you asking that?
private door? Logically, he has been here before. I'm sure you said so.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to ascertain.
Yes.
'Cause
Behind the private
if
door is
they're-
in fact the strangers' lounge, yes.
right, that is the strangers' lounge. Okay.
Yeah, it's just me being evil. But you will have to sign in.
Yes, I will go and sign in with the clerk and the leather book. I will also ask him if Ewan is in.
I must not call him Jeeves. I must not call him Jeeves.
So call him Geeves instead.
Now you're desperately trying to remember what Jeeves' first name was, aren't you?
I wasn't.
She is now.
No, unfortunately you mentioned Moorcock and now I know what his name is.
Michael.
No, I think we've got an Elric.
Close, but no cigar. You've got an Ericose. I decided not to go too obvious. I always felt sorry for him. Right. Oh, you're muted. I think.
Luricane's muted.
Uh,
There we go.
as we, yeah, I keep forgetting that I do that to cough and then.
Yeah, sorry about
forget
that.
So as we walk in, I subtly adjust my my daily glamour so that my green is matching the green of the lodge.
Going the sneaky route. Right, okay, fair enough.
Swish.
Well, I'm sorry, why am I shocked? Livercane, what are you going to do? Okay,
I am not sparkling at the moment.
fair enough. So,
You know, I think you should have that particular part of your glamour tied to whether you're moving, so that you're either sparkling or still.
Oh,
are you implying Livercane's a long drink of water?
I didn't say that.
No.
I will not go any further down that because
No.
the comments are just
No. It's an open
we'll just
goal.
gloss over that.
Yeah, be a gentleman. So,
The
what's
gentleman we're
Alexis?
playing, as opposed to the gentleman we are.
Alexi, what's your surname?
Cordova, was it?
Cordova.
Cordova, that was it.
Right.
Master Cordova. If you would sign in, please.
Certainly.
I need to get a certain level of snottiness into this. Right, excuse me one moment. Let me just do that. Sorry, my throat's on its way out. Yes. You can sign in. I will allow you before you ask if Ewan is in. You're signing in on a double-page book where all members have to sign in.
How far back are the pages?
Uh,
Is it just today I can see, or can I see
you
last
can see
night's?
the last 30 entries, which go
But the
back
date-
several days.
Okay, so as I'm signing in, I'm going to look through the
Okay.
other names to see if Ewan's name's there.
It is indeed. You can see it. The man is not subtle,
Mhm.
which you knew.
Yeah.
The man
His
is.
signature has lots of flourish.
It's one of the
Yes.
biggest signatures in the book.
It
and-
takes 2 lines.
Oh, God.
Uh,
Okay.
yes,
Certainly going to be noticeable at a glance then.
it is indeed. I'm not even going to make you draw for it.
Would I notice the... Now, when we sign in, is it
Mhm.
dated and timed?
It is dated.
But it's not timed.
No.
So I'd notice the date.
From me today or yesterday?
That's what I was next going to ask.
The date of signing in is yesterday.
And I assume we have to sign out when we leave.
You do.
I assume the date of sign out is yesterday.
There is no sign out date.
So technically he hasn't left.
Well, as you know, yeah.
Well, we know different if we've seen him, but as
if
far as
this is-
they know, he hasn't left.
Hmm.
If this
Okay.
is going back several days on this page,
Hmm.
and if his signature is that obvious, does it appear earlier? Has he been in and out a couple of times, or is this
Yes.
the only?
It appears towards the top of the left-hand page, yeah.
So it has been an out and before and signed back in
Yep.
for yesterday. So
we can't all see this in question though, can we? It's purely okay.
I'm
I'm assuming with him having...
trying to throw information that will help me.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, sorry.
Right.
Do I see the date that he signed out previously?
That will need a perception check.
Okay.
His signature's big, but his handwriting sucks.
Just remind me of the suit for perception.
I should know because I use it so
Diamond.
frequently.
I want to
Diamonds.
Diamonds, yes.
Oh crap.
Yeah. There's so many times that I'm hearing, oh crap.
Yeah, my cards list today have not been as good as last week.
No, your cards last week
rather.
was...
I've got nothing that will do any good.
You don't
I'm trying to
have
think if
put
there's no
anything in.
way.
No
As
logic.
I'm average, I'm going to chuck it in because it's no good for anything else anyway. But that's all I've got.
Okay. So you've got 2. Ooh.
The average book makes it 6.
6 indeed.
Just proving I can do simple mathematics.
Right. You're reasonably sure that it's either 2 days ago or 4 days ago, because it's either the 6th or the 8th of the month.
Okay, so it's either way. It's a couple of days prior to him signing back in.
Yeah,
Lacey picks up the book, much to the disgust of the man behind the desk. Says, "Does that look like a 6 to you?"
The thought had crossed my mind, but I don't think I'm going to get away with that.
No.
I think you might not.
No. I'm
Not,
fairly
not
sure.
sure if it's something that Alexei would think of, but having seen potentially one person who has, by accounts, stayed overnight, is it a trend for other members signing in and out to be signing in one day, signing out the subsequent day? Okay.
Yeah, that's
I
something
think
that
you
Alexei
can
can see.
assume that this will operate in a very similar manner to...
The biggest thing that's working through my mind is, did he sign in after we saw him or before and just never actually signed out?
Are they time-stamped?
They're not.
I just have an image of someone built like Brian Blessed, circa Blake 7, episode 3.
So with having seen that information, I'm going to obviously put the pen back and await the guy's response as to whether said person's in.
Master Davis.
Yes.
He is indeed. Would your guests like to wait?
Well, actually, my friend Carter and I have an appointment.
Certainly, sir. In that case, I will notify Master Davis that you are present, and you can all wait in the Strangers' Lounge.
Is it possible to get some tea?
Tea.
Yes, tea.
Or coffee.
It's a drink. Usually comes from India.
There are the bare minimum facilities provided to non-members.
The bare minimum facilities.
Indeed.
Water?
How about I order 3 cups of
If you
tea?
visit my club, I hope you'll find the greeting a little warmer.
Sir, that is extremely unlikely.
Well, yes.
He indicates the door marked private, and you can indeed progress into the Strangers' Lounge, which is quite nice.
I want to take a different path to the Strangers' Lounge than the other 3,
Oh.
because I'm assuming I've got a room here.
Yes.
So is it possible for me to go to my room while they go to the Strangers' Lounge?
Yes. Is indeed. You can go through the double doors. You're allowed. You're special.
Speaking back to the book,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't have had room numbers on it, would it?
No.
No, okay.
That's none of anybody else's business.
No. That's fair enough. I just thought I'd check, because I know some places log numbers of people staying.
No, the maitre d' will keep track of what room everybody is in.
Good luck with that.
In theory.
Yeah.
So yes, the Strangers' Lounge is well appointed. There are some reasonably comfortable looking leather seats. There is quite a botanical design to the decoration,
As you might expect from druids.
as you might expect from the druids. And the ceiling is marked into 4 quarters, with clouds, lightning, sun, and rain.
So we're in a William Morris place, aren't we?
Yeah, you know those really unsubtle designs you get at like Manderston.
As
We haven't got the
I meant
silver
to say,
staircase,
as
so-
we sort of, I let them know where I was heading, but as I let them know where I was heading, I just asked them to keep their eyes open.
Okay.
On the way into the Strangers' Lounge,
Yeah.
Rand is saying, well, I suppose they're probably more familiar with Welsh than Greek, so I can understand they're getting the translation a little off.
Right, there is a gentleman waiting with napkin over one arm. Sir, can I get you any refreshments?
A
He's-
pot of would be lovely.
Tea.
Yes, tea. Why does everybody say that?
They perhaps thought you wanted a beer.
Carter is given the once over and dismissed. And then Livercane is addressed politely. In the Fey tongue.
I definitely, I visibly raised my eyebrows at this.
He's asking you exactly the same question as he asked Randolph. Don't
Nothing
mess
for
with
me.
druids.
Responding back in phase, like, nothing for me, but your command of the tongue is most excellent.
He doesn't smile, but he does incline his head in about a quarter of an inch bow.
I do the same, and then wander over to have a look at the bookshelves.
And your staff, sir. This is referring to Randolph again. Will they be requiring any refreshments?
I assume that's in Fey, so I don't have to hit.
No, that's in English. Addressed to you.
What will be requiring?
Because you're getting tea, but Carter got ignored.
Yeah.
So basically, they think Carter's your hand.
Yep.
But then I am sort of adopting the bodyguard pose, so that's
Yeah.
kind of understandable.
Yep. You're doing your best bounce a bit.
Yeah.
Or would you prefer beer?
I'm good with whatever you think's good, sir.
Tea. Bless. Right. Okay. I'm sure this is not how this scenario was going to go when I first wrote it.
Are they
No scenario ever survives first contact with the players.
No, never, ever. Doesn't happen. Right, okay. After a very short amount of time, a silver tray is brought out with a silver pot and assorted accoutrements for the making of tea. With a small little cow creamer jug and a...
I've got one of those.
I don't know where they come from because everybody I know owns one somewhere. It's in the back of the cupboard and nobody ever buys them, and yet somehow they appear.
I think possibly that either socks or biros morph into them.
You reckon that's the ultimate...
Vanish mysteriously.
Yes. Okay. And you also have a small dish with 2 slices of lemon.
Lovely. Shall I be mother?
The waiter pauses because he was about to pour, looks at you, and then just walks off. All without cracking an expression. Nothing. Zip. Right. So, where was it you were going to wander off to, Livercane?
I was going to have a look at the bookshelves.
Okay. There are a lot of tomes on national geographic features, and I don't mean National Geographic,
Yeah.
but geographic features of mostly of the British Isles. There are also a few tomes which appear to be on the anthropology of the other races. By which I primarily mean the residents of the Indian subcontinent, by the looks of it.
Yeah.
And judging by the typeface on one of them, somebody's been to deepest, darkest Africa. And I do mean not the most flattering of descriptions.
Yeah. For me, it's like I will idly browse, but this isn't actually like my forte
No.
or my area of interest. So I will. It is more just a case of keeping an eye out and just wandering around and having a look at the room and like out the
Okay.
window and such.
Notably, there are no tomes on magic. No treatises, no descriptions, nothing.
Makes sense.
The focus is on the natural world, as is on all the paintings
Yeah, I mean,
around.
this is the
They're
public
going.
area,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. If this is what they get up to in the public area, what exactly do they get up to in the private area? Well, you know what they get up to in the private area, Alexei, because you have to walk through the first private area to get to the staircase leading to the rooms. There is the standard brazier in the centre of the room. There are small cages in which are resident various different pieces of livestock. Primarily chickens, although there are a few pigeons because London. And you have to go with accessibility. And there are elemental basins in which, during major workings, would be placed earth, air, fire, and water. So you can make your way past that. Nobody's in the middle of a ritual at the moment, which is handy. And head up the stairs. I got my players just vanishing into the grey.
yeah.
Sorry, I need to go away and check on the dog because she's
No,
sort
no
of.
worries.
I'm not sure if you can hear her, but she's making some very odd sounds behind me. So
No,
I
then
need
go
to go and
for
check
it.
on the dog.
Go for it, Knight. No worries. Excuse me. Okay, not going to sneeze. Thought I was going to sneeze. Not. Right. Yes, you can head up the stairs, and to your room if you wish.
I don't.
You're in a galleried corridor with doors running along one side. Looks like your standard hotel, to be honest.
Query with regards to time period.
Mm-hmm.
Telephone.
Theoretically existent, but hardly anyone's got them. Telegrams are the order of the day, however.
I'm thinking more reception to room.
No.
So that guy on the desk to let Uran know we're here is going to have to go to his room.
Or use a bell. Or they may be
It's
speaking
going to be
tubes.
a lot of bells.
Or there may be speaking tubes.
Okay.
But you've
I
not
was
had the
hoping.
cause to use.
I was hoping he was going to.
Or they might
have
just use
to
a runner.
physically go to the room, or someone was going to have to physically go to the room.
No, unfortunately, nobody's leading you to Ewan's room. So, downstairs they're drinking tea. Upstairs, you're standing in the corridor, trying to work out.
What ways out of the building are there? Is there just the one way in and out?
That you know of. You have not explored the ins and outs. You assume there's a kitchen exit, because you know there's a kitchen.
Yeah.
Because you're aware on the ground floor there is at least one dining room.
Okay. Have I gone up any stairs yet?
You've gone up a flight of stairs.
A flight. So if I was to walk around the floor, so to speak, to see if there were any kind of fire exits,
You could certainly look.
to ascertain if there was any way off of that floor apart from the stairs.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming the rooms are all one floor or higher.
You're on the residential floor.
Yeah.
So far as you know, there are no other stairs out.
Okay.
So there is basically the first floor, and there are however many rooms you haven't checked. But it's a square, and the rooms are all on the outside.
So, as far as I can ascertain, I'm assuming the stairs are the only way out.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't met you in person, have I?
You haven't.
So he's not going to recognise me.
No?
But obviously I'm going to recognise him from his description.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to wait around a few minutes near the stairs and see if anyone
Okay.
shows up.
Right. This actually gives me a chance to do something I've been wanting to do.
Uh-oh.
It's fine.
It's
all
definitely
fine.
not when you say it like that.
Everything's fine. It's all good.
What have I just got myself into?
I just love the fact the relatively novice RP player, role player, is just now getting very familiar with what the GM sounds like.
I have a general gist of how roleplay works, and
Yeah.
there's certain voice tells that are unmistakable.
Yeah. The ones that to worry about with me is when I start smiling too much.
I mean, like you're smiling now.
Right. Let's just check. Okay, so that's going to be that. Scoobadum. Skibbity. Yeah, why not? Okay.
Why not?
Your skin starts to itch slightly, and the hairs on your arms stand up.
Okay. I'm assuming
And-
that's like a magical reaction.
Yeah, that would indicate somebody is pulling together a significant amount of power. Because yes, this does indeed sit on the ley line, because why would you not park your magical lodge
Okay.
on top of a ley line?
So now the next question is, am I going to be able to use this sensation to kind of home in?
Slightly worried I was live role playing that then. I just got an electric shock off something. Ow! I got an electric shock off my desk. Oh, God. Static. Sorry. Let's see. I would like you to make me a perception check, but using your sorcery. So it's diamonds with your sorcery skill.
I don't look at my cards.
Oh.
Nah,
Well, that could be worse. Okay.
could be a lot worse.
Ahead of you and slightly to the left. So basically, if you follow the corridor ahead and then it
Okay.
turns left, it's one of those doors.
Do I hear anything?
Nope.
Or just the sensation is just growing?
The sensation is indeed growing.
Does it ease at all when I pass any of the doors?
Nope. It's getting.
I don't want.
It's
not...
getting louder to your perception. It's not that you can hear it; you can
No.
feel it. Something is coming together, and it's quite big.
Quite big or quite close?
Hard to tell.
This is the problem. I don't want to be starting knocking down people's
Yeah,
doors.
This one is small. This one is far away. So, are you headed towards where you can sense it coming from?
Yes.
How fast?
Reasonably quick walk.
Quick walk. Right
Yeah.
then. Okay. Put there. So, you feel something come to a head. And ahead of you, no pun intended, you sense before you see it, which gives you just enough time to hurl yourself back out round the corner. The explosion, which is fire gusting out, taking the door with it, of the second door round the corner, punching the door off its hinges and embedding it in the wall opposite.
Now, when you say explosion, do you mean an actual kind of bomb explosion? Do you mean a focused?
It's clearly magical to you.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering if it's worth me just trying to peek my head round, because I don't know quite if it was a intended blast for anyone that may have been approaching, or if it was just an explosion. If that makes sense.
Well, if it was intended for anyone approaching, then they really put some effort into seeing you were coming. And you didn't see anybody else on this floor.
No, but you did say there were possibly bells or talking tubes.
Yeah, that's true. As far as you know, it was not triggered by you. You certainly didn't notice that you triggered anything. And you weren't really close to the door when it went off. The room beyond is awash with fire. It also, however, is awash with spinning, screaming, ghostly forms, which
Okay.
twirl in and out of the doorway before gradually evaporating in a foul-smelling haze. Now, a sorcery skill, well, check, might be appropriate at this stage.
Yeah. I'm also wondering if my forces of nature come into play.
Yes,
Because that's a specialisation.
it is, yeah. Go for it.
Do I still need diamonds?
You need whatever the sorcery skill actually uses, which is...
Because that's the list I
diamonds.
currently don't have to have.
Yes, diamonds. Did you draw up again?
I
You
did.
did, okay. Just recall.
So with a specialisation,
That puts
I
you up
can-
one level.
yeah, but does that allow me to lay 2?
What does that put up to? Puts it up to great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I put in the diamond
Mhm.
and a similar colour gives me half, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There we go.
So, we're starting at 8. So you've got 11. Oh, all right then. So you're up to 15. So that's pretty
Yeah.
damn good. Right. Okay. Somebody is using magic and they don't care whether the power is clean or not. What they've done is instead of carefully gathering enough elemental power to create this fire blast, what they've done is they've just gathered in all the magic that they could suck up.
And this has been the consequence.
And this has been the consequence. It's harmonics.
Mm-hmm.
The magic is basically reacting against itself. It's unbalanced. It's like a gimbal mount that's had sand get into it. It's juddering all over the place.
Okay.
And in this case, it's summoned up elementals, and it's also summoned up ghosts
Fun.
and spirits, which are now dispersing, and the room itself is on fire, and smoke is starting to fill the building. Or starting to fill the corridor.
Is there a fire hose anywhere nearby?
Nope.
Did we hear or feel the explosion?
One
From
floor
where we are?
down there. You didn't hear anything. However,
The
I will
windows
take a
rattled a
perception
bit.
check. Yeah.
Perception check, you say?
Yeah.
That's on diamonds, isn't it?
That's diamonds, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Do I want to hear this? How badly do I want
I was
this?
just thinking the same thing. What do hearts get used for?
Social.
How difficult
Yeah.
would it be for me to conjure a small water spell to douse the flames?
You could indeed have a
Bearing
punt
in mind
at
all
water.
the magical chaos that is currently happening,
Yeah.
is
You
that going to
could-
cause me problems?
It shouldn't. If you're careful and only use the right kind of power.
Because obviously I've got to take a couple of minutes to be able to build this up.
Yeah.
So if I drop in
But I
for my
need a magic
perception
deck
check.
to do so.
Yeah.
that and that,
Uh-huh.
that puts me at 18.
Okay.
with my good perception.
Bloody hell.
I throw in a 6 and make it a 12.
Okay.
Throw in a queen, which I think puts me for 16. And then,
Okay.
fortunately, I can't throw another card, which is a shame because I'd really like to get rid of that low-ranking heart.
Right then. Okay. So 12 was actually the target number. So yes, the cups on the tea tray chink quite badly together. The windows shake a little. Plaster dust comes from the ceiling.
Do I need to draw a magic deck?
You will. Give me a sec. Let me finish this description because this is all simultaneous. Yes,
No,
there's now a little film of dust on your milk. The problem
As it
is,
starts, I'll move my hand over my teacup.
and the two of you with the higher scores both realise not just that it's coming from above you, because you all get that, but which direction which angle it's coming from.
Well, at the risk of aggravating our
Towards the back of the
hosts,
building. Okay.
came from up there, and I'm already in motion.
But,
Okay.
right.
Now,
So if we take in motion, which way are you going?
I'm going in the direction of the explosion. So towards the door, looking for a set of stairs to go up.
I was going to say, I think without Luricane's etherealness, you might need to take an indirect route.
Yeah.
You need to go round.
I don't have the ability to go through the floors, unfortunately.
No. Somebody does.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if I had a sledgehammer.
So, what is the waiter doing?
The waiter is not currently in the room.
Ah, okay.
He vanished off through a smaller, unornamented door. English, my second language tonight. Right. So, he's going to need spell duration momentary, which is 1, involves 1 element, which is 2. Performs only 1 task, which is 7 total. Spell within unaided sight, 9. Okay.
Is it unaided?
Um,
I'm stood on the corridor where the fire is.
yeah, it's unaided.
Oh,
Within
right.
unaided sight, you don't
Okay.
you don't need to
you
use.
Can see.
Clairvoyance or anything.
It's just my
Yeah.
understanding, sorry.
No, that's all right. The rangers are touch within unaided sight within a few miles in another city, another country, another
Yeah, I
dimension,
don't
or
think
another
I'm
time.
pulling any of those off.
No, they're not the easiest thing. So I'm up to 9, 10 at the moment.
Okay.
And you're looking as elemental. You're looking for clubs.
Okay.
So your first minute, you get a card from the sorcery deck. I don't know what that is. Yeah, that's not going to help. Yeah, you need 9. If you don't use all clubs, then you're going to risk what happened with the ghosts. So, Carter's coming pounding out of the Stranger's Lounge.
How long is it going to take him to get to me?
You don't know, because he's downstairs.
Okay. I'm just going to try and focus this then.
Oh. Okay. I'll knock my audio down slightly. Sorry about that, Night. Yeah.
It's okay. It might just be me, because Fisher said he hasn't noticed it. So
Yeah, that might just be me being unobservant, though.
Oh, great. Thanks. I feel so much better now. Cheers. Right.
I have only an average perception.
Okay, it may just be me not looking at the microphone. And then looking at the microphone and causing trouble. No, don't do that, Drat.
So, Casting a spell uses my sorcery skill, yeah.
It does. You're looking for a
is-
total of 10.
Good.
Mhm.
That's 6.
Yep. For your first
Do
minute,
I have to play all cards?
you don't have to play all the cards you've got.
Do I have to play a card?
You don't have to play a card if you can just do it on the sorcery skill.
Which I can't, but I can wait for another card.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can hold off for another card, yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
I'm now moderating how I'm
You want to
sounding.
not explode, that kind of thing.
Yeah. There's all sorts of options.
What I'm
You're
trying not to
necessarily-
do.
Not necessarily going to explode.
No, but after what has just
Seen an
happened,
explosion, and that's what you said caused it. So
the problem is,
I can understand a touch concern.
I'm a little concerned because if I start messing with how it comes out, I'm going to have interaction from what's just happened.
Good thought. That could well happen.
That's why I'm holding out for another card and got my fingers crossed.
Okay. So, Knight,
Yes.
where are you going? Are you going to the maitre d'? Are you going through the double doors?
Through the doors we came in, because Alexei did come through this room with us, so he must have gone wherever he went, a
Okay.
different route.
The
I
only
am working on the assumption that whatever Alexei did, was about to do, is what triggered the explosion.
Fair enough.
So I'm heading looking for Alexei. So out the double doors, and looking to see which way other people have started to move.
Okay.
And if there's a horde of people going one way, I'm going the other, because
Okay.
they are probably running away.
Right.
I have a
Charging-
feeling
Okay, charging
with
through
where
the double
we
doors.
are,
Yeah.
there's not going to be many people leaving.
Charging through the double doors, you
Yep.
find yourself in a strange temple type area. And you can hear the maitre d' yelling from his desk about how you're not supposed to be in there and he'll have you banned. But you can see at the far side of the temple, you can see a flight of stairs leading up.
Ah, then that's where I'm going. Up.
Okay.
We'll talk later.
Right.
Found upstairs.
What are Livercane and Randolph doing in this first combat round?
I look at
Well-
Randolph to with a
I
quizzical
will
expression.
I will have followed Carter at a rather less precipitous pace,
Okay.
and be attempting to distract the maitre d' from chasing after Carter and stopping him.
Okay. So
Look
the
here, my man, this is simply not on. We came here with our companion to quietly wait while he goes about his business, and people are trying to drop a building on us, etc.
I think you'll find that this is members only beyond that point, and your
I wasn't beyond that point. I was in your stranger's room, and somebody dropped half a ceiling in my cup of tea.
Please be reasonable. Please, sir, be reasonable.
Reasonable.
He's looking between the
Reasonable?
two of you now in trying to see which one of you's more likely to be reasonable, and unfortunately it's Faye
No.
there. And...
Oh, actually, to be fair, if when Quigley left the strangers' room, I didn't follow.
Okay. Apologies for the
I
assumption.
will go ethereal and head in the direction that that Carter had pointed out.
Okay,
And
yeah,
see
you
how
did.
far I can get.
Right. Okay.
So bringing up my fairy powers,
Yep.
etherealness is great. So according to the description, I become nearly immaterial, but I
Yep.
do still retain color.
Yep.
So I'm not invisible,
Nope.
but I am, for the most part, like just
Yeah.
a translucent outline.
Fantastic. This will
You're a
cheer up
ghost.
the guy who's just spotted the ghost. Yeah.
Yeah. I may fly through the air at great speed and pass through any non-ferrous metals.
Okay. You can make it through the plaster ceiling.
Hmm.
You're going through wood. You have to wriggle a little bit because there are nails in the joists.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit like squeezing through a fence. You know, you angle it right and you're okay.
Yeah, it's the cartoon thing of like, I go flat 2D and go
Yeah.
up through the floorboard.
Yes! Okay, yeah, you can poke your head up through the carpeting on the upper floor as Randolph's arguing with the maitre d'.
Yep.
And Carter is pounding up the stairs. So Carter is basically going to make it up the stairs at not a million miles off the same time, i.e. the end of this round, that your head pops up
Yeah.
through the carpet. You can run past Lidocane's head.
And
I shall pray I'm not wearing steel-toe cap boots as I run through him.
No, unfortunately your aglets are aluminium. And at the end of this round, you can draw another magic card. So I will deal you another card. Smoke is starting to fill this whole corridor.
Because fire extinguishers weren't necessarily a thing, were they?
Not really.
No, buckets were.
Yes.
Yes.
said I
It
needed
wouldn't
clubs.
surprise me if there are buckets of sand.
Yeah, I was just thinking,
Or-
these people deal with the elements. There's bound to be a sand bucket somewhere.
yeah.
Yes, not at the top of the stairs, but if you keep going towards the source of the fire and the smoke, and you can then pull yourself up, basically drift up through the floor, and head along in the same direction.
yes, I will follow Carter at
Okay.
this point, but remaining ethereal.
Sensible man. So, where do you stand on there? Okay, is Neo, is Alexei going to cast a spell?
I needed clubs, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes then. Okay. Just as you both round the corner and the smoke is starting to get into your lungs. Less yours. We gloss over how Fae breathe. I quite figured that one out yet. And
Do they breathe?
that's an ecumenical matter. And
Now,
yep.
was clubs for casting the spell or for what it was doing?
Clubs is casting the spell. It's pulling off the spell. It's causing that effect.
Okay.
So you have summoned a quantity of water
I was
into
going
the
to
room.
change that slightly.
No.
Okay.
No. What you've got is what you've got.
No, that's fair enough.
So yeah, you basically can fire a small pond's worth of water with that into the burning room, which is going to go a long way towards tamping down the flames. Won't extinguish them entirely, but it's going to do a lot of good.
Okay.
This is what you two see when you round the corner. Is Alexei basically going, whoosh. Psychic pause for
Doing a
effect.
human fire hydrant routine.
He is, yeah. Does the whole sort of. I can.
Cat me, have me.
Ah! Yes. Come. And shoots a load of water, far more than his hands could possibly hold, into the room that is the source of the flames. Around you, doors are are starting to open with, I say, what's going on?
Right, I'm running to the first fire bucket I see,
Okay.
grabbing it, and
Now the
hopefully
flames aren't...
targeting over the base of one of the bigger areas of flame.
Yeah, now that the flames are no longer pushing out of the door, thanks to the large amount of water already on them, you can indeed go past the door and there's a fire bucket at the far corner, grab that,
Brilliant.
lob that in.
How many stories is this building?
It is at least 3, but you're not sure of the height of the
Right.
floors. And yeah, I will take. Actually, no, I'll just let you do it because you can see where the fire is based. So yeah, you can lob the bucket of dampened sand in. And
More buckets would be good.
Yeah.
If someone wants to help. Yes, saying that very loudly.
Yeah. Around you, you can hear running footsteps. Most of them are leaving, but you can also hear some footsteps running towards you, and one of the servants comes in with another large bucket and adds his contribution. So between the three of you, you can basically get the fire down to a manageable level.
Excellent.
Which
When you say
reveal,
manageable,
smouldering.
how much of the room, at a glance, how much of the room is destroyed? I'm looking for maybe a rug that I can pick up and throw over any remaining bits of fire and just stomp on it.
Actually, yeah, the rug you can. Bedding and the curtains are gone. This is high-class student digs, is what you're looking at here. Also, the entire window has been blown out.
Specifically out.
Specifically out, there is no broken glass inside the room.
So whatever caused the explosion went outwards.
And started inside.
Yeah.
I will then, whilst this is going on, I will basically zoom through the room.
Okay.
And hover outside of the window.
Right. Make me a perception check, please.
Okay. I forgot to draw back up. Draw.
Oops,
one.
sorry.
Draw one. Perception, he said.
I did.
So many diamond cuts today.
Okay, so my base.
That's why no other bugger's got them.
No, I have. It's just. Oh, fine. So my base is 6, and I throw that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. There are gardens, which in central London even now is quite uncommon. There are fairly extensive grounds stretching out behind the colonnades. At the far end of the garden, you see a figure athletically leaping the wall. Out and then out of sight.
Can I get any details about build?
Yes. Wearing a long black cloak. Long black coat. It's not the freaking hooded claw. Big build. And very tall.
Okay. I am going to maintain a good height and basically fly after this guy.
Okay.
I'm obviously, because I'm not completely invisible, I will use whatever I can to, block or shield view. But I'm hoping that nobody is looking up.
Yeah, to be honest, that's not really something that happens a lot.
Exactly.
It's a mad flying fae over the top of their heads.
Exactly. So I am going to attempt to follow him as far as I can.
Okay. I will take another perception check, please, and an etherealness check.
Oh, jeez. One of those will probably be good.
Let me just recall that. Yeah, okay.
Okay, etherealness is spades.
Yep.
Come on, computer. Right, etherealness is spades. And great.
I'm going to be nice, and I will ask for an etherealness check first.
Okay. That's 9. Okay. I will throw that 9 in and make it a 17.
Okay.
Actually, I'll throw that 3 in as well. So make it 18.
Okay, not a problem.
And then I'll draw 2. And then perception, you said?
Yep. He's gone over a 7-foot wall. Basically, you've briefly lost sight of him. This is to regain him.
So I will make that an 11, which I think is the best I can do.
Okay. Right. So, using your Fey heritage, you streak down the garden, zipping around trees to interrupt people's lines of sight. And you get a view of him jogging through the garden opposite
Mhm.
and hopping over the fence. He seems to be doing a slight Shaun of the Dead.
Right.
Going up and over and round.
Mhm.
Hot fuzz, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I will basically, for as long as I can keep him in sight, I will keep going.
Okay. Let's give him. Drutty needs a hand. Shut up.
I will be right back.
Okay. Right. So that is okay. Right. You keep him in sight for a good couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Keeping elevation, zipping around between houses.
Yeah.
As you suspect, nobody's really looking up. You
Yeah.
do scare a small child looking out of their bedroom window as you go past.
I wave as
And pardon me. And as he finishes hopping over garden walls, and his next stop is the street. It's a wall he actually has to climb properly. This man's athleticism is impressive for someone who is big.
Yeah.
He climbs and looks, unfortunately, as he's climbing over, straight at you.
Right.
How high are you?
So I am we were first floor, so how high was the, like, so 2 stories probably?
So about 20 feet? 15, 20 feet?
Yeah, like 20, 25, probably
Yeah.
about 20 to 25 foot up.
Okay.
Because I would have wanted a decent enough angle so that if he was hopping over walls, I could actually see past them as best I can.
Okay.
Yeah, about 20, yeah, between 20 and 25 foot up.
Okay.
And depending on how distant he is, it's like whether or not he will spot my outline at that point.
Yep. He has clearly
Oh, yeah.
seen you,
Right.
judging by his next action,
Oh.
which is to reach into his greatcoat,
Dodge! Dodge!
and he hurls something in your direction.
Oh, right. Okay, this is going to be problematic.
So, I need to deal myself another card.
Yeah.
I have a
'cause
feeling this is gonna hurt.
I think this is going to hurt a lot.
Do you have any sort of aerobatic skills to help with flying while ethereal?
That's not what worries me.
No. No, because I rely purely on the ability to just fly. I can't. If you need athletics to maneuver, I can't do that.
Yeah. No, it's an etherealness check to control your.
Okay, like that is
yeah.
It's
a
fine.
club's etherealness check specifically.
Oh, I thought it was spades.
Spades, etherealness is split.
Oh,
Which I
right.
hadn't realised
Okay.
before, because that will teach me to not read it.
Okay.
Which is flight is an element done under clubs, so
Right.
it's the same skill level, just different suit.
Okay.
You don't have to argue this one.
Sure. And I can actually, can I do an ethereal check to try and dodge this? Because
You can.
okay, cool. Because normally, if it was a combat thing,
You wouldn't
I
need
might.
to for the most part.
Okay.
Right.
Because it's whether or not I could actually use that or had to use courage.
No, you can use that.
Cool. Then so clubs, you say, right?
Yep.
Bring this up. 8. Let's make that a 20.
Right. Okie dokie. Let's make that there. And let's double check his numbers.
Oh dear.
So that is an 11, 12, 13. No.
8, 10,
I
11,
dread to
12,
think
yeah,
what just
20.
happened.
Oh, you jammy git.
The bad guy just rolled 19.
Yes.
Oh!
I just chucked in all the clubs I had. And because this isn't his specialised area, he has a good athletics
Oh,
for throwing
phew!
weapons.
Because I was debating.
That's
So-
not his speciality.
Wow.
So
So that's a
for
6. That's a 7, 8
I
plus
mean,
11. That's 19.
yay! Because I also have the ace of clubs, and I was debating whether or not.
Ooh. Okay. A bag. That's all it is. But it's flung with extreme power. It's about yay big, and you get a very clear view of it as you turn your head and it goes straight past your eyes.
Right.
But for all it is small, it almost knocks you out of the sky with the sheer feeling of nausea.
Right.
It's not much, but there's cold iron in there.
Yeah.
Certainly not enough to fill even a bag that much. But there is something in there that if it had hit you, it would have stood a chance of taking you down.
Wow.
Basically, like cold iron, caltrops, or buckshot.
Yeah, it's. I know what it is, which is basically there is sand in these things for the weight, and then
Yeah.
it's mixed in with iron filings,
Yeah.
Makes sense.
which are weapons I designed for this guy, and I thought that'd be quite fun.
No, that's neat.
Yeah, because they go a hell of a way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you almost lose your etherealness and drop several feet, but yeah, it's basically just.
Yeah, I always
straight
like
in front of her. Yeah.
and
Straight in
regain,
front-
and then
Yeah.
and then regain.
Yeah. And the bag goes hurtling off somewhere in that direction, lands in someone's garden. And by the time you've sorted yourself out, the guy's gone.
Okay. I can't attempt a perception check to try and.
You can try, yeah.
Okay. So that is I get a 16.
Okay. I actually have to take another 3 cards because this is an opposed check now. Because he knows you're there.
Yeah. Whew.
Hello.
That's an
Okay, so I'll
interesting
shuffle.
hand.
Right, let's try that again, shall we? Right, so I need diamonds. Was that 16?
16.
Okay.
Double check.
So,
Good perception. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
16.
So it's against. So I need that. Which unfortunately is going to outweigh your 16.
Sure.
Right. You look around and you half follow with your eyes someone who looks about right,
Right.
and then you realise that no, that's not the guy you were looking at, and suddenly there is a whole street filled with men in black coats.
Mm.
And you
Is this like the Thomas Crown
Yeah,
affair?
yeah.
where
Yeah. Yes. Suddenly, there's always baskets everywhere. Who knows
Yeah.
what's going on? Okay.
Okay. Whereabouts have I got to at this point?
Let me just go back to the map, which I know is modern day, but bite me.
Eh.
You are all the way back down there. So you're now you're past Horse Guards now. You're
Right.
not past Horse Guards Road, so Great George Street,
Okay.
because the Imperial War Museum is not actually there
Not
yet,
there
but they're
yet.
close enough.
Yeah.
But you're level with that.
Okay. Right. Yeah. It's too difficult to tell because it's still a relatively busy area, and it's not exactly criminal underworld.
No.
Barring
not
the politicians, but
Well, yes, yes. I mean, there are, they're obviously the biggest swindlers in the entire country are residents
Yeah.
in this area. But yeah, you are basically you're just up the road from Buckingham Palace, for goodness' sake.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to leave you
Yes,
there,
sure.
and you can decide what you're going to do next.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, back in the room, I'll get rid of that. Back in the smoky remnants of the room, you've now got rubberneckers outside, gentlemen of clearly magical persuasion. You can tell by the excessively ornate clothes they're wearing, and preponderance of silver jewellery.
Wizards with a capital W.
Exactly, yeah.
And probably two Zs.
Yeah.
There's a degree of people who look like they'd be happier down the ship back in the day. Let's face it, that's where you see the silver jewellery.
Yeah.
Magic users, bikers. So,
We had one of those pubs in Croydon as well.
God, I miss the ship.
I think
I
it was,
do too.
and it was called the Ship in Croydon.
Okay, that's creepy. Yes.
Unfortunately, our ship is now the Turner Centre.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was knocked down and replaced with an art gallery.
Yeah, that looks
Well,
like a nuclear storage facility.
It might be a nuclear storage facility.
And you can look up the Turner Centre online because it's it's everywhere. You can't possibly not find it. It looks like it's made of Lego. One of these days, I'm going to get a photograph of it and I'm going to colour each of the blocks in individual, just to really highlight that
Yeah.
fact.
Don't tempt me. So,
If only we knew someone that could do photo manipulation.
That's
yeah,
it.
all right. Give me time. And a decent photo. So, looking into the room now, you can see on the bit that you were beating out, the huddled into a ball form of a formerly very large man. Now roasty toasty.
I was about to say, hopefully he's being of the magical inclination, somehow survived it all, and could tell us exactly what happened. I'm guessing that's not the case.
No. He looks
I'm guessing he looks
little-
like something I tried to cook.
He looks like a chicken wing you've put in the oven. and
Can
forgotten
we? Is there
Like I
anything
said.
on him that will allow us to distinguish if that is you? And not that we need to put 4 and 4 together, but
You said they were rubberneckers. Anyone know this guy?
about? It's some Welsh chap, I think. Has he blown himself up? Bad form.
it would appear so.
Only not. I don't think. Colour me suspicious, but I had a feeling someone was going to try and kill this guy, and now he's dead.
Surely it's just some terrible accident.
Can I throw?
You might think that. I couldn't possibly comment yet.
Sorry.
Can I throw a perception check to see if I notice anything else in the room that might be out of place or anything, if that makes sense?
Right, it's going to be tricky because the
Everything's
room
charred
has been
and-
charred. Yeah, there is a thick
It
layer of
has.
soot over everything.
But I'm hoping if anything's been taken, there might be
Okay, so you're looking for voids. You're
some
looking for.
form of indent or
Mhm.
slight build-up of different build-up of soot or something, or just anything that may help me.
Okay. I would like you to make me a perception check.
Diamonds?
Yep.
While Neo's looking at that and making a perception check, how many windows are there in the room?
1.
Okay. Heading
Well,
over
balls.
to that window. I know the window was blown out, but I'm still looking on the ground for signs of glass that indicate maybe something came in initially but didn't take the whole window out.
There is, I can tell you for a fact, there is no glass on the inside of the room.
At all.
No. The window itself and about half the frame is lying on the ground outside. That's pretty damn good. Okay. Alexi, looking around, you don't see anything initially that leaps out at you as being untoward in this room. As I said, there's a thick layer of smoke over everything.
Yeah.
What you do see is near the window, you see what is the shape of a long knife.
When you say the shape of an actual item that looks like a long knife, or
There's a
the
layer
soot
of
buildup?
soot over. There is a layer of smoke and soot and sand now over it.
Okay.
But there's the outline of a long knife.
Do I notice anything else?
Nothing else leaps out to your attention.
So Carter's over by the window.
Yep.
Carter, what's that? Pointing to said
I
item.
shall look to see where he's pointing.
It's near your foot, but with such a thick layer, and you weren't really looking at the room as a whole, you were looking for the glass.
Yep.
There is a knife almost 2 feet long, but lying under a thick layer of soot.
Now that's a knife.
No crossguard.
I was waiting
Yeah,
for that.
I know. I thought you're giving the Aussie the option. What the hell?
Yep.
There's no crossguard, and there are no protrusions to, no quillions, no rising nail or anything like that. The blade is nearly 2 feet long. It is a long, straight, uncross-guarded knife.
It looks almost like a machete.
Machete would be broader bladed. This is far
Yeah,
narrower
but
blade.
lengthwise, I
Yeah,
meant.
lengthwise, you're looking at sort of messer length, but a messer would have a side nail for the hand
Given
guard.
that this room was recently on fire, I'm going to reach around my pockets to get a handkerchief or something to at least insulate my hand against the heat from what may well be a very, very hot piece of metal.
Okay.
I'm going to endeavour to pick this thing up.
Okay.
Obviously, if it's insanely hot, even through a wrapped handkerchief, I'm going to drop it again
It
and
isn't.
say, oh shit, that's hot.
It isn't.
Okay. Still not touching it with skin, because I don't necessarily want to burn a layer or two off. I'm going to take a close look at this now that I've got this thing picked up.
Okay. The top layer is completely sooted. It's completely charred. The layer that was on the ground, however, as you turn it over, there are red traces for the first 6 inches of the tip. And there are runes all the way down its entire length.
When you say red traces, are we talking blood?
Yep.
Someone's been stabbed with this for a couple of inches. And it's ruined all the way down.
Yep.
Okay. Alexi,
Yep.
take a look at the inscription. Does that mean anything to you?
I'm assuming I'm going to need perception check on that.
You will, and you will also... Actually, what you'll need is the sorcery skill. By using perception, so diamonds for sorcery. What's Luricane doing?
So at this point, Luricane is going to fly back, but I'm going to come around. I'm going to kind of like head down towards the gardens, and basically come around and then rematerialize before the street and
Okay.
emerge onto Birdcage Walk, and actually just lean up against the inside of one of the columns
Okay.
and wait for other folk, at least for the time being.
Okay. That's cool. What did you get?
Same colour, different suit is half, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And with good, can I lay 2?
Yep.
Then a different suit is 1 in it.
Yep.
If it's a different colour,
Yeah,
even.
different colour
Yep.
is 1.
Then that is all I can do.
Okay. So that is 6, 7, and you're working off a sorcery of good.
6, yeah.
So you got 13, which is okay. This isn't your tradition. What this is a magical artifact that a mage, a sorcerer, could use to store spells in, or to store a magical effect in, to be triggered under specific circumstances. It would take a sorcerer to use. And although the runes are clearly of a magical tradition, it's not yours. So you're not sure what the intent would be.
Okay. Obviously, having looked at the runes, I noticed the blood, yes?
Yes. There is indeed blood on them.
Is it possible to inspect the body a little bit and see if there's any stab wound?
The body, unfortunately,
just charred beyond-
is just charred. It is just curled into a ball and charred.
Well, that's what I wondered. I didn't know if it'd be a slot anywhere that I could distinguish.
No. Not that you can see.
So in reference to Carter's question, that is a dangerous bit of kit.
Or at least was.
Yeah. It now
there's no
seems
telling
inert.
it still couldn't be. It's used to store spells.
Yeah. It's done whatever it was designed to do. Doesn't mean it couldn't be refilled.
So, question for you then, Alexei. Suppose this had an forgive me for not using the right words. Let's assume I know absolutely nothing about magic. Because I know absolutely nothing about magic.
Aha, fair assumptions.
Yep.
Suppose that this knife had a bomb spell bound to it, whatever you guys do with it, to be triggered on plunging it into someone's body. So if this was, say, a thrown weapon, it has no quillins, reasonably balanced, could be thrown, despite its length. If I was to throw that, hit the target, and then it blow up, is that possible? Is that a possible trigger you could put into this thing?
As far as Alexei knows, yes, you wouldn't know how to do
Yeah.
it, but it's not outside the realms of possibility.
So it's possible that whoever
It's
did
possible.
threw it, it hit the target, and the explosion removed it from the target, dropping it over the other side of the room. Physics being a thing.
At this point, the maitre d' has finally had enough of Randolph's shit. Although,
I wondered how long that might take.
yes, although to be honest, Randolph has outclassed him for several minutes, and eventually
Yep.
he basically shoves you to one side, verbally, not literally, and starts gathering servants from darkened corners of the club. Sorry, the lodge.
The lodge.
And heads upstairs. And the next thing you guys know,
I will quietly follow him and the servants up the stairs.
he stops aghast at seeing the state of devastation of Ewan's room. Because I'm not going to even drag that out. Yes, it's Ewan.
I guess that from the Welsh
yeah.
person.
And then orders everybody who is not an accredited member of the lodge to leave.
That means everyone but me.
Right.
Although he quite obviously, quite clearly like you to get lost as well, but he can't actually say so.
Not going to happen.
Blade
Not
up the
yet.
sleeve of my coat, I'm leaving.
Okay, so stealth check then of some description.
Stealth, you say?
Yes.
Where's the maitre d' shouting from?
The corner.
At
So he
great,
can't see Knight in the room.
Yep, sleight of hand is covered by stealth. That's
at
club.
great, how
But
many
there are
cards can
other
I put in?
Rubberneckers looking in.
3 if
at
you've
3.
got great.
Okay,
All the cards.
we'll pop that one in.
And I will say, this is
We'll
pretty
pop
much
that
the
one in.
last of the soul blimey.
And just to give it an extra point, we'll put that one in.
Right. Not even gonna bother.
He's making sure he leaves with that knife.
Yeah, I'm leaving with the knife.
He stretches, scratches his wrist, adjusts his cuff,
And it disappears.
and then heads out.
And then mop my
the
brow
corridor.
with the handkerchief and put that back in my pocket.
Yeah. And head out past the Rubberneckers, past the staff who are now alternately trying to calm the residents, and basically usher you out because you're in the inner sanctum you're not supposed to
Yeah.
be. And
So I'm quite happy to be ushered.
Yes,
I'm leaving
and
out. I've got what I
can't
came
do a
for.
lot about Alexei, but they can deal with the rest of you. And Carter and Randolph, who can now see the stain of devastation, but not the details, are hustled down the stairs and out the front door with the minimum of politeness. And then the doors are firmly closed.
As we're being ushered,
Uh-huh.
what? It's still relatively early, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's about, I don't know, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon by this point. So, you know, as you were whiffling for quite a long time at each other.
Yeah. So, okay, as we're being ushered, then, but while still within suitable range, I shall raise my cane above my head to attract Alexei's attention. You're sort of waving.
Uh-huh.
I think, Alexei, old boy, we'll meet you back at the Majestic this evening.
Fair enough.
Okay. So, yes, you're bundled out unceremoniously onto the pavement, where Lyricane is lounging loosely.
I'm doing other sort of things.
I've been waiting for the alliterative opportunity there. And I will call it there, because it's 20 to 11.
To 11.
Oh yes.
Good lord.
One question.
Uh-huh, go for it.
When the leaping figure looked up at me, was I able to basically discern the facial features for the broken nose,
Yeah.
etc.? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Enough for it to match the previous descriptions we have been given.
It's that or it's hell of a coincidence.
Sure. I'll just say I ended that session with not only having the ace of clubs in hand,
Oh,
I had the Jack, Queen, and King of Spades.
oh no.
Bloody hell. See, I had a bunch of good cards throughout that. I mean, I had a Joker. You just saw the King and the
Yeah.
10 of clubs
Yeah.
go down.
I started off with not great cards, but
Yeah.
then managed to draw into things. But
Yeah.
thankfully, that Queen of Clubs,
You pulled a 20 out of the bag when you
Yeah.
needed it.
Yeah, wow.
I must apologise for not getting involved in that last bit, but I was beginning to flag somewhat, and I thought Randolph would be more useful keeping the
No,
maitre
that's
d'.
fine. That's absolutely fine, Fish. I know you've been up since stupid o'clock, so I'm fine
Well,
with that.
not stupid because it's a Sunday. I'm not that bad on a Sunday. It's
No,
Saturday.
you're just merely ridiculous instead of stupid.
I
So,
did wake up earlier than I needed to, which is a good job since my phone battery died on me and my alarm therefore didn't go off.
Oof.
so you had woken up by cat
Young
o'clock.
gentleman.
Feedback,
Yeah.
meow.
You're good at that, aren't you?
Right, so we'll leave it there, with you standing on the doorstep of the colonnades. A dead fried mage upstairs. An escaped assassin. hailing dwarves, and still no sign of Chekhov.
Still no leads.
The mystery thickens.
Well, we've got leads. They're just not actually leading us anywhere at
Yeah.
the moment.
We don't.
They're
need
leading
to
us
now.
into a
They
whole
are-
world of trouble.
But
No,
they are
we don't
confirming
need-
things.
We
Rounding
don't
circles.
need the leads to lead us anywhere because now we have bait with which to set a trap.
Aha.
Possibly.
Not that I'm looking in any sort of fey direction at all,
Yeah.
but our assassin knows what you look like.
Oh, yeah, that's
No,
true.
vaguely what I look like.
Yeah, I said I was flagging, didn't I? I should have twigged that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. That's definitely.
He saw you clear enough to put a very close shot at you with that bag of nasty.
He knows what your cartoon outline looks like.
Yes.
Did he have a broken nose?
Yes.
Thought he might.
Um,
Oh, I'd love to break that again for him.
Perhaps you will get the chance.
So yes, the world-class cleaner / assassin has taken a pot shot already at Luricane, and now you're on his radar.
Yeah.
Right. So, 3 weeks time then.
Sure. Thank you very much for that.
So I make that the 7th of July.
Agreed.
If people want
Yep.
to diary that one.
I can. I don't know how much use I'm going to be because that's the day after Twitch London.
Fair enough.
I was about to say that seems very close to the Twitch London date.
Yes. On the Twitch London date, however, I'm going to be off learning Indian martial arts. So,
Very nice.
yes.
So we may all be somewhat mullered by.
Yeah, I suspect I'll be bruised, let's put it that way. On the other hand, I have just discovered what a chakram actually is, and now I'm just wanting to learn it really, really badly.
Isn't that the discus
disc.
thing?
That's the
that
Xena Warrior Princess. They come in 2 sizes. I didn't realise they come in 2 sizes. They come in the Xena Warrior Princess Killer Frisbee.
Yep.
And they come in basically knuckle duster size.
Oh yeah, because you've got the
hand,
short
yeah.
ones that come round that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
right.
that can have like weird blades as well.
Yeah, sorry.
Cool.
Almost like a cestus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we should have a chance to have a look and play with some of those.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm tragic when it comes to weapons. So, yeah, so that's us in 3 weeks' time. So, I will accept that anyone who's going to be at Twitch London will probably be half asleep for the session, but on the other hand, what the hell. You should all be back in time. So,
I'll be back in time. It's just
Yeah.
whether I'll be in any state to comprehend things.
probably hungover.
What he
and-
said.
Yeah. Okay, so next week, Fishy?
Next week, I was hoping next week to run the Decipher Star Trek RPG. I'm not set up to do so, so instead next week will be a session 0 on that. So I will go through bits of how the system works, a bit of the background for those very few people who don't know Star Trek, and
Character creation.
continue with whatever character creation I haven't already got finished by that point. So the only person needed for that is me, but if any of the players actually want
I'll try and make that.
go through it with me, then I'm absolutely fine with that. We can make it a more sort of discussion thing.
Yeah,
rather than just
I'll
me
try and make
talking
that work.
Yeah,
independent.
50-50 chance I can make that.
Okay.
Okay.
That's cool.
I should be there. I don't have a character yet, so if we're doing character creation as a session 0, I will do my damnedest to be there for that so that I can have a character.
Brilliant.
I need to sort out my Andorian's promotion and things. So, we will call it there. And thank you very much for watching. I hope everyone's enjoying it. I hope I'm not playing too fast and loose with the system. I think I'm doing okay. And I'm really enjoying running for you guys. This is
a lot of fun.
This is a lot of fun indeed. So thank you and good night.
Night all.
Good night.